Hello, everyone. Welcome to the event league. I think it's called. Unfortunately, you've got me today because Luke's had to unfortunately got a family emergency there. But I hope everything's all right on Luke's side. Of course, that's much more important than of course doing this shtick as well. And also very excitingly as well, Streamlabs has had an update which means you can do multi-stream for free, which is exciting stuff. But I gotta say. I didn't want to do it tonight because I only found out about 5 minutes ago, which would have gone really bad because we'd done that before. I think it was season 4 of Gold, where we tried to multi-stream and everything lagged and it all broke and all that kind of jazz. Then, but anyway, yes, hello, welcome to. Oh my goody gosh! Then we've got a Bill of Rain already. There's a wild card tonight for this event league as well, of course, where of course there's going to be heavy rain throughout the race. Then it's like that game, isn't it? Isn't that guy keeps screaming Sean as well? Sean, Sean. Oh gosh, I hate that game. No, or was it Jason? Wasn't it? It was, wasn't it? I just kept spamming the name thing. But anyway, yes. But yeah, we have got heavy rain. Looks like we've got heavy rain for qualifying and the race. Jay Hings is thinking about the intermediate compound tyres. That's a very brave man indeed. Almost as brave as that Ferrari mechanic who's like out there with only a t-shirt on. Big man. Hello to Cody Bridge. Good evening to you, my good son. Of course, Cody didn't have a had a bit of a difficult race last night in bronze, didn't they? But good stuff indeed. And of course, Knowleston let go one home roll, I think, or Knowles going to say it as well. And of course, big up the Ginger Rage then, as yes, indeed, then sadly I'm in the comms box tonight. But luckily though, we do have a 2-week break afterwards, which gives us a great opportunity to have a whoa, there's a cam there drifting there. We also have a good opportunity to have a natter about the 2-week break then and what it's going to do for the drivers and all that kind of stuff. But you wouldn't have scored points anyway, Sean says. Serious Mushroom, how dare you? I've been practicing all day, I have, you know. No, I've got to say that it was almost confirmed a guaranteed victory because I am very much like Pedro Lamy in the wet. Here's Cam then coming out. I need to find out these quarter names, to be honest, because I kind of just go by what Murray Walker used to say in the 90s, and James Allen, to be fair. Of course, that was my era of Formula 1. I still watch it every now and again, I suppose. Looking forward to the United States Grand Prix this weekend. It's a sprint now. Ugh, don't like sprints, my word. I'm not. You can tell I'm an old fan, can you? I don't like sprints at all. I prefer a traditional one. There has been rumblings going on that maybe James Vowles was mentioned, and it potentially might go down to. Might go down to 2 days and just have just one practice session on Saturday and Saturday qualifying and then the race and then of course the race itself, which I suppose is alright, but and just have the support races on a Friday. I don't mind that, to be honest, because I'm like, oh, we've got some issues, have we? No, Liam's just getting out of the way then, so Liam all fine and dandy then, and fortunately for Liam, because I'm not racing tonight, and I don't think we've got vintage in the era, so that's unfortunate for vintage. But fortunately for vintage and Liam, I'm not racing tonight, which means that I'm not causing a hazard to those guys either. I'm like a lamb in the wet, says Knowles. To be honest, Knowles, I thought you was more of a lethargy kind of guy. If anyone doesn't know. No, not Lafarge, I apologise. If anyone doesn't know who Lafarge is, he was super sub in 95. And also, actually, I was speaking of Jean-Denis Delatraz, then, of course, infamous for being very, very, very slow. I'm sure he was already lapped by 10 after 10 laps in Adelaide of 94 when he was driving his LaRousse. And that was sadly the last race we ever had for LaRousse as well. Interesting stories coming out of the real world of Formula 1 at the moment. And of course, Christian Horner is being heavily linked with the Ferrari gap. I'm not sure about that because I thought Christian Horner wanted a stake in his own team. Maybe even kick Sauber. Haha, probably not. Jenna goes fastest there. Second fastest Cam with Marsky in third position. We'll go through the drivers and the constructors throughout the course of the evening, which is all good stuff indeed. We'll also have just a quick natter about all other things as well. So Jay Hing said the intermediate tyres are only 0.6 of a second off the pace there. To me, I think that's a pretty good pace there. Equals had a difficult race last week there, and also getting penalised for coming back on the track. Very naughty indeed then. As Legend's gone fast. Well, here is the man of the moment. It is Gary Hannington, who who has been absolutely superb. Last night, he was driving superbly well and could have won on his debut there. Almost a Jacques Villeneuve-esque kind of drive, where he could have won on his debut then, albeit in Brazil rather than Australia. But of course, Villeneuve had engine problems, whilst Gary Hannington had issues with his with I think a penalty. I think it was a 10-second penalty, unfortunately, which cost him a debut win. Then Kieran, who's basically dominated this series since getting in the car, he's had 3 different teams. I think he's had Williams' team, the Racing Bulls, and now he's in the Kick Sauber. Kieran has absolutely been incredible. This is the last week was the first time that he was not on the podium there since stepping foot in this season. And I think if Kieran came a bit earlier on, he might have been able to challenge for the championship as well. Cam has gone fastest there. Legends is second at the moment. Kieran is third. Hannington is in fourth position there. Fifth is Equals, and Knowles just popped his Racing Bull up into sixth position. Riley is in seventh there. Liam has just set a time. Whoa, taking too much curve there. Getting on the white line. That's too much green, sir. As and unfortunate, that's unfortunate there for Liam. Then is Equals goes into second position in the Haas car. Lovely jubbly indeed. Then powering up the hill once again. Cody out on circuit and about to get a time on the board. I'm just looking to see where Cody is. He's just in front of Mad Max. Cody goes 11 fastest. Mad Max goes 10 fastest. Of course, remember winning in Zandvoort a few races ago, which is superb. 17. Cirrus Mushroom there. All the weight of the Red Bull is now on Cirrus Mushroom there, and I'm going to be honest, I've not got much hope because, of course, all of Mushroom's skill and pedigree comes from my ingenious setups. So Cirrus Mushroom goes 11 fastest. Kieran in second. I'm in really banter mode today. It's because, of course, we're in the holiday season in ALR, as Knowles is going off on his holidays for a couple of weeks, then, which means that of course all the admins are going to gonna be like, whilst the cat's away, the mice will play. So the admins are hopefully better behave. And of course, I got to say, I don't think me and Farf are going to behave very well. We never behave, to be honest. But I'm only an admin by nature. Well, I'm only an admin by name. I don't really do anything else, to be honest, luckily enough. So, which is good indeed. Vesha going into a superb second position there. I think that we just seen someone just pop themselves up the order as well. Equals goes into sixth at the moment then. It's pouring down, says Duke then. And it's going to pour down in the race as well, because, of course, it's Riley goes third fastest because, of course, this is a full wet race, and that's one of the wildcard rules that we've had for the event league this year. It's all about the wildcards, which I must admit I enjoyed. I especially enjoyed Singapore, albeit I was probably pit stop away from having a great race, but I am thick as 2 short planks. I got an IQ of 69. Nice. Percy then. Good luck, 100%. I'll be watching from sunny España, says Percy, which is next to Wales. Of course, Percy is out of the country, and the first bit I asked him, is it next to Wales? So that's the only other country I've been to is Wales, actually, really, because I'm scared of flying. But there we go then. And also because if I ever get on the plane, let's just say gravity is quite hard to me, and of course if I get on the plane will not be able to take off. Cam's gone at fastest down as the first driver into the 21.8s here. It's going to be a very wet and miserable Brazilian Grand Prix tonight. Jay Hings has gone to a 24.4 now. Not too bad then, as Tori has not put a time on the board yet. Knowles up into 6th position now. A couple of about half a second away, or 6/10 of a second away from his teammate at the moment, Cam, who has put a time on the board as well. Welcome everyone to the stream tonight there. Gosh, I'm getting really good at this streaming, aren't I? Equad's gone third fastest because of Riley, who we know he is king of the wet track, isn't he? Remember his memorable performance in Japan back in silver earlier on this season as well, and a few races ago as well. He was absolutely supreme, and I can't remember what races. What race it was there? But Riley is an absolute devilicious in the wet. Legends goes 6/10 of a second improvement and goes up to third at the moment. Equals has parked on the circuit. He's got to be careful there because he could get disqualified. Kieran is also off the circuit. Where's that? That's at the exit of Young Sao, I think it is, or Young Cow. Of course, Kimi Raikkonen Raikkonen had, of course, had an exploratory lap there. We would say, of course, back in 2012, then, of course, in the Lotus. And that's what you get for not doing a track walk, then, or even a scooter lap, which is, I think, what a lot of drivers do now, isn't it? Toyota Youngsao, we got Van Von also out on circuit as well. I think the Legend's just moved himself up to third position. He has indeed 8 minutes to go in this qualifying session now. And we got the two Alpines there doing a bit of slipstream here. That's good stuff. Indeed, Tori's just gone into the wall, unfortunately, goes 17th fastest. The other Alpine, I think, was just starting a lap of R2 He was indeed. Van Von, it was not, it looks like he hasn't used much deployment there. So Van Von is also medium intermediate tyres as well, along with Hannington, then also on the intermediate tyres. Great stuff indeed there. Jay Hings has gone 13th fast. I forgot to take my jumper off, so I am going to be sweatier than a sweaty sweat pig. Van Von goes 15th fastest, but I feel that there's more time on the board. Two Ferraris on row 6 at the moment, albeit Marski has taken a shortcut there. I gotta say that that voice line, I think, from one of the old F1 games was Murray Walker, wasn't it? Look at him, he's taking a shortcut. That was ingrained to me because I used to take a shortcut all the time. Where's Kieran? Kieran's on circuit at the moment, a 10th of a second up for Kieran. That would take him into 6th position now. Yellow flags is the two Alpines. Of course, we had a battle royale between the Alpines in silver on Monday. Goodness gracious me. We're going to get something similar tonight then. Well, Kieran has had enough. He's into the pits. I reckon he's going for intermediate tyres, you know. R2 Investor in at 6th position. It was Equas. Oh, going a bit wide there, Equas is there. And once again, we've got some issues with connections, haven't we there? I think that EA need to sort themselves out, really, don't they? I'm never going to blame the host because, of course, am I the host? I don't know, to be fair. I am the hostess with the mostest there. Styles, good luck, everyone. Is just on board now, of course, as you mentioned, then Styles won last night as well. None of the championships have been locked in yet from gold, silver or bronze because, of course, there's been a contentious subject going on behind the scenes from the incident between Percy and Brabbitt. I don't know, of course, there is a steward's decision and then, of course, it was appealed by one of the drivers and then it was appealed again there as Equas has gone fastest with 6 minutes to go in this qualifying session. And, of course, so we have to do in order as well because otherwise I get confused. So at this moment there, Equas has got real bad connection there. Hopefully that gets cleared up in the race, but that's not ideal for Equas, and it's an important race for Equas tonight. But yes, so there's been a bit of a contentious subject in terms of a stewardship report then, Team Brabbitt and Percy, which I'm not sure what the outcome of that is just yet, but of course we will keep our eyes peeled, and of course keep your eyes peeled on the social medias and all that jazz. Vester goes 2nd fastest there. I'm going to be honest, it could be like last man across the line here. Knowlesy for the win, says Styles. And Styles currently chilling in the pit lane at the moment. But of course, we know Styles does enjoy coming through the field in the 100%. And I think that Styles is going to have good memories because did you win last night, Styles? I think you did, didn't you, in the end? Now, Equas has left the session. I'm not surprised for that because he was jumping up and down. R2B is gone 7th fastest at the moment with 5.5 minutes to go. Here comes Hannington, I should say. I say. Just out on circuit in the Mercedes. Van Von then is on an outlap or just an inlap then. Tori has found 3 seconds ahead. We've got a lot of drivers now flirting with the intermediate tyres. Here comes Cody powering out of Young Cow. Mad Max on circuit as well. And Cirrus Russia still on the full wet tyres there. Cody's had enough and he's back into the garage then. Brabbitt's 5-second penalty was the outcome then. So Brabbitt has been dropped down to 4th, which that means that Percy has won his first Grand Prix of the season. I can't remember his full tally because I haven't got me spreadsheets open yet, which is shocking. But in my defence, I was eating a chicken Caesar wrap about 20 minutes ago. So there we go then. As you can tell then, I'm always a professional of my art, which I got to say is certainly not this, I can tell you that. R2 beat that going down into Magulio, the diver. You can see that they've got a lot bit of a dry line. Have we got a dry line here? But I've got to say it's very saturated out there at the moment, isn't it? But it is It's looking quite wet out there, isn't it, to say the least. My mechanics are fixing my car. I'm having engine problems there. Gotta say then, I think the stars, you got that McLaren from Silver, because Silver had appalling reliabilities from the McLaren Mercedes, or if you got the McLaren Honda from 2015 potentially. I would not worse that car. I worse that way. Rebooted the internet, said Equal, said scraps. Oh dear, I wish I won, but it was Sam who won, says Percy. Oh gosh. I do pay attention, I promise. To be honest, I think it was quite lucky that I knew that the report was going on, to be fair. But yeah, so normally we would go through the drivers and the constructors from gold, silver, and bronze right now. But of course, I think that was a very late. The appeals that did go on, and that's why the standards haven't been done. But don't worry about that, folks. I've got 2 weeks then to pull my finger out, so no problem there. I am going to lose my record of winning every race since I participated in, says Percy, which of course is what happened to Hamilton a few years ago as well. So Percy has only got 3 races now to get that nipped in the bud then. Of course, when we go to Las Vegas, then Qatar, and then Abu Dhabi as well. Out of Young Sal then for Marsky, 3.5 minutes to go. No, 3 minutes and 10 seconds to go, and I've lost my slippers. My feet are bloody freezing in here. Marsky then out of the final turn then, and coming out to the line, Marsky. Oh, he's a second off the pace. I was expecting more there from Marsky. Jinnanen is also going for broke as well. Legends there is also on an outlet. We got a lot of drivers then that have just gone round and round. Believe it or not, that is what F1 drivers do. But they've gone round in. So they have gone round there, just trying to lighten the fuel load potentially. And also, it's all about confidence rather than actual fuel load in the car. And you gain so much more pace by getting more confident out there. 2.5 minutes to go in this qualifying session there. Oh my word there. So here is Marsky now. Of course, Marsky and Ferrari started off the season so well in Australia. They did a really good job in Australia, actually, didn't they? The Ferrari team, fantastic. Just got the intermediate tyres on now, has Marsky. So let's see for an improvement. Archie beats on 7 laps on those wet tyres. He's had enough. He's now on the intermediate tyres. That's very brave of R2 beat. Then he ain't even going to have time for an exploratory lap. He's going to get out there and put his toe down to the floor. Wow, that's pretty impressive indeed. Then I must say, I would be a bit nervous, but we've got a Willie right behind Marsky there. I don't know who it was then. Perhaps I should have a look. It's Jinner. He's a 10th of a second up in the second split time. Of course, the second intermediate split time then. And you can see that there's still a lot of water out there. Even if we do see a bit, you can see that the darker patch on the circuit. Look at that. The Formula 1 cars are so good with chucking this water back up into the sky. Jinner lost 0.8 of a second there. Goodness gracious me. On that final run up the hill. That's not ideal for Jinner, is it there? So now it's all or nothing. Legends there, who's I think just getting out of the way of one of the Racing Bulls there, but the Racing Bulls is not keen to go through, but they have done now. Yellow flag then. Vesser out on circuit. Cam out on circuit as well. Mad Max in the Williams here coming down. Oh no! He's okay, but has he got enough time there? Because that is a lot. Well, he's still got about 70 seconds left there. Should be enough time to get around the circuit, I'm sure of it. Tory then has gone up to 14th position as well, as Marsky's invalidated. That's not enough. That's not going to be enough time to get himself back into the garage there. The second Mercedes of Jay Hingser is going to tow his teammate, I think, Hannington there, down this back straight, which I've forgotten what it's called now. Shocking. I need to Google. And then we've got Knowlesy also out on circuit. I'm going to have to find who is on a quick lap at the moment now, as cars are coming across the line as well. Here comes Van Von in the Kick Sauber out of the pine tree, and now flying up the hill into the Ducks field, or is it the corner before? I do not know. So both Kick Saubers are on the wet tyres still then. So the Sauber team, of course, got morphing into the Audi team next year, which is exciting stuff indeed. Albeit I have seen a lot of negative press about the Volkswagen group, which of course is a part, which I think Audi's a part of, with Porsche now leaving the WEC now, isn't it? They're going to just focus on IMSA, which I think is basically Le Mans, but in America, isn't it? By the way, my sports car knowledge is absolute boulder dash. Across the line there comes Van Von. Goes 9th fastest. Into the pits comes the Alpine. I'm looking for the second Mercedes of Gary. Here comes Hannington now out of the final turn, coming up to the line. And where does he go? Second fastest there. And why am I surprised? This man was superb last night. Superb tonight as well. Wet or dry, he is fantastic. Of course, I do have a new favourite, don't I? I don't play favourites much. It's Cody coming up to the line as well. 10 per second down and doesn't improve and stays 17 fastest on the grid there. Equals has not been able to put Kieran then with just a few seconds to go. It's on pole position there for the kick Sauber. No, just like I say, that Cam is just is reign supreme in the rain here in Interlagos and is now fastest there with Riley. Once again, shown his wet weather prowess there for Riley. He is absolutely superlative in the wet conditions there and is on the front row of the grid. Both Haas cars are down in 6th and 7th position at the moment. Not ideal at all, unfortunately. And that will be as we got R2 beat and also powering up the hill as well then. As the I think that we have just got Liam out there as well. Liam's 14th, good 17. R2 beat stays at 9th fast at the moment. So it is Cam on pole position there. And that is let me hang on, I've got to find out where Cam is on me spreadsheet. I think that is Cam's second pole position of the season. It is indeed. Fantastic there for Cam. His second pole position of the season after... Where else did Cam get pole position, I hear you ask? After the Dutch Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff indeed. And I think I'll commentate on that one as well. Maybe on Cam's special... lucky guy, potentially. That is Cam's fourth pole position of his career. Fantastic stuff indeed. Riley almost had pole position today. Goodness gracious me. Can't connect to the car, says Quells there. Well, that's not good, is it? Oh, we got some Formula One news, by the way. George Russell and Kimi Antonelli will stay with Mercedes in 2026. Well, that's not a surprise, is it? But it'd be interesting to know about those contract lengths. Cam, pole position by 100th of a second from Riley. That is the front row. As we said, then Kieran has dominated this championship so far, hasn't he? Albeit he might be a bit too late then beyond the 8 ball. Loss without Ginge, absolutely. Of course, I am the brains behind the Red Bull madness there. You all thought it was Lauren Meckies that turned them around. It was absolutely me. Right, rain again in the race, and let's go for the championship. Reflections leads by 31 points from Equals in second position, but Equals cannot connect to his car. He needs to get back in pronto. Legends in third position there. Percy in fourth, then Legends 99 points adrift. But Percy was racing there, but I don't think he can commit anymore, but he's still on my spreadsheet, so he's on 176 points, but R2B on 169, nice. In a fifth position there, Vessier on 156, 145 for Kieran, he's 141 points back at the moment. Oh, yeah, I don't. Of course, I think it's a bit too far back now for Kieran, but what an incredible season he's had. 124 for Marsky, Jinner on 114, Sirius Mushroom 97 there, 90 for Styles there, 42 for Knowlesy, 71 for Kiki. I think my spreadsheet's out of date. 54 for Riley, 52 for Mad Max, Camera Race on 51 with Vintage on 51, Jay Hings on 45, Ginger Rage on 731 points, and then we've got Liam on 6 points as well. Then in the Constructors' Championship, we've got Ars on 442, Mercedes on 319, Williams on 285, 260 for Kick Sauber, 40 points adrift for the Kick Sauber is the Alpine team, on 207 is the Aston Martin, 166 for the Racing Bulls, 141 for the McLaren and the Ferrari, and then Red Bull on 128, but that is not due to the driver, their first driver, it's down to their second driver. We've got Wright, is that Wainwright, is it? Hannington for the win. Fantastic 17, absolutely. Of course, since Hannington has stepped foot into his car, he has been an absolute marvel in ALR Grand Prix racing. Finished second last night, could have. Didn't he finish second? I'm not sure, but even so, he was leading the majority of the race, and it should have probably won if it wasn't for that 10-second penalty, unfortunately. Let's go for the grid from front to back then. Let's get the telemetry off as well. And where is my bottle of Coke? I have no idea. Cam, 4th pole position of his career. 2nd is Riley. Riley 101st second away, but it's been absolutely superlative, hasn't he, Riley, in the wet conditions there. Can he get a win tonight? I would say yes, he can. As Kieran doing a lovely drift there. Oh, look at that. That's fantastic. We've got a lot of drivers that not completing the formation lap, or as James Allen used to call it, the parade lap. 4th position is Hannington. What a performance in only a 2nd Grand Prix. Of course, racing bronze last night. Tonight, he's in the event league, and brilliant stuff indeed there. Massive favourite, and I hope to see Hannington in a full-time seat soon. Vestier in 5th position. First driver on intermediate tyres is Equaz. I think Equaz is in his car, and that is crucial because because Reflection's not here tonight. He needs to get that gap down. Of course, he's over a Grand Prix win behind now. Of course, 100% the event league. Of course, the points is down to 15th. Legends in 7th on wet. 8th is Jenner. 9th is R2B and Van Von in 10th on wet tyres. Knowlesy and Jay Hings both on wet tyres. Marsky and Liam on all Ferrari row 7 then. 13th and 14th. Tory in 15th also on the wet tyres. Mushroom got disqualified. Naughty Boy down in 16th. Then we got the McLaren of Cody on wet tyres and Mad Max on wet, and Styles is on the intermediate tyres. We're all lined up on the grid now. Didn't want to do the formation lap anyway, says no, obviously I don't think anyone did, spills. That's half the grid gone. As Kieran is doing his best Giancarlo Fisichella impression there. That's not looking great, is it? But never mind, he's done it nonetheless. Of course, Fisichella did that twice in Malaysia, didn't he? Where he didn't park correctly. 2001 and 3. Lights are on then here in Brazil. Then it's a saturated Brazil. Here we go then, and it's a strong start there for Cam. He's got away superbly well. But what about Riley? Well, Kieran's already through already. No, he's not. He's back down into 4th position, and Hannington could go through as well. Riley side by side with Cam then as we come out of the center S for the first time. And if they all behaved well, they certainly have in 71 laps of a very wet and wild Brazilian Grand Prix, or Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Down the hill then into down the hill into turn 4 as we got Riley having a sniff there, but nothing more than that. Kieran's down into 4th position. Make that 5th position. A terrible start for the man at the moment in the last couple of races, Kieran. 6th position is Equals. 7th position is Legends with Jinner in 8th position. We've got R2B in 9th position with Van Von in 10th. Make that 11th because Tory snuck his way through 5 positions as Tory's coming from the field like a hot knife through butter. Fantastic stuff indeed there. In 12th position is Jay Hings, and he's on the outside, which means that who's got on the inside? That's Marsky. He's trying to get the purchase out of that Ferrari. No dice. He's going to go into the Ducks build then, I think it is anyway. And then we got Liam in 14th. Cody's up 2. Fantastic. Styles at 3 positions there. He's juking and jiving through the field nice as well. Knowlesy down in 70th position. Serious Mushroom alongside Mad Max there into the Magulio, the dive. Mushroom down into last position. I'm disappointed. That one is going to be completed then with Cam leading. No DRS throughout this race, and so it's going to be very old school race. This one is going to be, whoops, of course, no DRS then, so no DRS then down the back straight. And who's that? Hannington up the inside. Has a look, but nothing more than that then as you go into the center S zone for the second time. 71 laps around this Brazilian Grand Prix as Van Von is fighting with Tory. Tory has forced his way through then, and on and through he goes, and the Mercedes on the outside, powering through on the outside is Jay Hings there. Whoa, bit of contact there is wheel to side pod action. There may be damage to the Mercedes car as he has a look down into turn number 4, but Jay Hings has the position there, and sadly Van Von can't do anything about it from Van Von's point of view, but from Jay Hings' point of view, he'll be delighted with that. Up into 11th position with Tory in 10th position as well, but he's a second back at the moment. But it's all anarchy here then, and look at that, there's the 2 Ferraris there. Lovely stuff indeed there in 30th and 40th position, but they haven't made much headway. Both intermediate runners, well, one of Equals is in 6th position there, but he's almost 2.25 seconds down at the moment as we're on board with Liam, who's got the Haas helmet on of Esteban Ocon, which I think that he's going to be unhappy with, isn't he? And so Conan's complete lap 2 then, but Cam is going to be very much, as we've got more access. Cody is through, he's past Liam. Knowles has passed Styles as well. There's action and drama all the way through this race at the moment now. Incredible stuff there. Cam, followed by Riley, but then look at Hannington now all over the gearbox. He's going to have a sniff, is he? I think he's too far back at the moment, down into the centre as Vesser in 4th position, Kieran in 5th, and look, the 2 Haas cars is going side by side. And Equals is telling us that I don't think the intermediate tyres are working as well as they should be. And of course, this is a full wet race. There is no... Have I paused the stream? This is a full wet race. Goodness me. On the inside, there goes Tori. Remember that was one of the world's most expensive car parks in 2003. Jay Hings up the inside as trying to fight past Tori, and he's done it. These two have got a bitter rivalry tonight. And look at Tori. He launched his way through. Jinner's down into ninth position. Ortiz back up to 8th, and they're fighting side by side into turn 7. Magnificent stuff indeed. That on the outside it goes. I'd have poked myself in the eye. Jay Hings in 10th position, Tori in 11th position as well. Look at the spray coming off of those tyres. Van Von in 12th, Marsky 13th, Cody doing a good job in 14th position. Good stuff from the McLaren. 15th it's Liam, then Knowlesy then all over the gearbox of the Ferrari in 16th. Styles in 17th, Mad Max 18th, and Sirius Mushroom letting me down in 19th position there. Back at the front is Cam then, followed by Riley then. But look at this, Riley is now under pressure from Hannington then, who's all over the gearbox, but can barely get the power down then. There's so much torque on these Formula 1 machines these days, isn't it fantastic? Halsey, evening lads, double shifts this week I see Sean. I know, I'm definitely earning my Kit Kat tonight, but I do need to have a break there. Great to have you in the stream as well, Halsey. And of course Halsey got deep in the top 10 last night. Where did you finish last night? I was watching, but I was also doing spring cleaning as well, because yes, as I had a inspection visit from my landlord today, so I've got to make sure that my flat was a spit in span there. I'm still at work, just having a little look while I'm having a smoke break then. What do you do, Halsey? I don't actually know that. I probably do a lot more than me do, more than I do, because being in IT, I just switch it off and back on. Good stuff. And also P7 there, fantastic stuff indeed there. I've got to say, Halsey is doing a very good job. So consistent now. Ever since Halsey has stepped foot into bronze, he's been in the mid to the top end of the top 10. It's been superb to see, it really has indeed. As we're just watching at the front now, as Cam is now starting to really stretch out his lead now. As you go down to Magulio, the divers, Hannington there, almost lost the car there. And my goodness gracious me, I'm going to have to change my underpants after that, because I thought he was gone. A mechanical engineer, oh, that's put me to shame. Oh dear. Yes, but very impressive stuff indeed there. As of course, so very incredible stuff indeed. I'm going to be honest, I'm going to pretend like I know what that does. As Vessier is got the fast on the race, I was just taking a look then, is that Riley is starting to defend now, and is starting to hold up Hannington. I think if Hannington can get past, I feel that he'll be all over the back of Cam before the next couple of laps or so. I think I've been P7 most weeks, can catch those top 4 aliens there. Don't worry, Halsey, next season they're going to be in silver, and it's going to be your year. Absolutely. I hope I'm giving you the commentator's curse though, because whoa, is that Knowlesy almost off the circuit there? I always seem to give the commentator's curse, so I may retract that statement for now then. Just going down, going up the hill again then. Riley then is at the moment there, starting a queue, is starting to form now beyond the Aston Martin, and this is helping Vessier all over the back of Hannington now, and there is Vessier. And of course, Vessier on a really good run of form as well. He's loving life in the Aston Martin at the moment, isn't there? Is Vessier there, and a very strong season as well. Only one DNF this season for the Aston Martin driver, but look at the rain there. It's absolutely sploshing off of the cockpit here, and you can see it's barely visible, that Mercedes in front of us there, as that rain light is flashing, isn't it? Goodness me. I remember Martin Brundle saying a couple of years ago, it's probably about 20 years ago now, sadly, that makes me feel old. Through goes Liam and up into 14th position there. Look at Knowlesy all over the gap back as well. Martin was saying that he would be crazy staring at those flashing rain lights there. I think they started to make them flash in 2003, didn't they, or 2002, of course, and I think it was because it made them more visible in wet weather conditions like this. Although tonight I'm doing a side gig, sanding walls ready for decorating my parents' Oh, that's a horrible job. I'm not a fan of sanding. My word, I'm not a fan of manual labour at the best of times, to be honest. Good grief. I struggled to get off the back. I struggled to get off my backside most weeks. So just coming down into turn 4 as well. Of course, thank you very much for joining us tonight as well. I appreciate your company tonight. Of course, Luke's had a family emergency, and we wish Luke that everything is a-okay. Of course, that is much more important than commentating on these incredible athletes going round in circles for 71 odd laps there. And to be honest, by the sounds of it, I think all the drivers was happy that I ain't even on track, so I take that quite offensively, lads. So there we go. But then again, having said that, I don't think I'd give them too much grief anyway, do I? Especially in Austria last week. That reverse, we raced in Austria but reversed last week, and I must say, that track is so difficult to drive reverse. Of course, all tracks are very difficult to drive. And what I have learned this season, to be honest, apart from the fact is I am very slow, and maybe I shouldn't base my pace off of my career settings when I got the AI at 30. Into the pits comes Kieran here. Now, this is a very early stop for Kieran, isn't it? Now, I'm surprised by this. All the wet weather tyres then just falling apart, but I'm surprised because there's so much water out there. Into the pits they comes the kick Sauber now. That is intermediate tyres for Kieran. I'm surprised to see the intermediate tyres, but having said that, look at all the cars, they're all coming in here. Incredible. Into the pits comes Tori as well, then intermediate tyres, they're also going on to the Alpine machine, and out he goes. Knowlesy, the racing bull, racing into the pit lane, also on intermediate tyres. So now this is going to be interesting. So this is now advantage Equals, because Equals and Hungry Stars both start on intermediate tyres. I thought they was looking a bit foolish earlier on, but having said that, they have put me in my place there. Consistency is me all over, says Halsey. Last night was my 301st race since the start of F1 23. 3 DNFs and finished 281 without a penalty. Without penalty? That is unbelievable. I can't even go one lap without a penalty. And to us, I also am nerding out by the fact that you've got all your starts as well. I love that. One thing that's always kept me going, apart from the joy of watching these drivers go around in circles, is the fact is that my stats. I get very nerdy about numbers and stuff like that. I get really excited, like seeing numbers. And pretty impressed with somebody. I don't keep my own personal stats, though, mainly because they're quite depressing to look at. So there we go. And it makes me very sad indeed, but I really love that. No joke, I have spreadsheets to prove it. You're a man after my own heart, Halsey. I love a good spreadsheet. I love good numbers as well. Cirrus Mushroom is in the pits and, of course, going to switch on to those intermediate tyres. I have no doubt as well. You're a man after my own heart, Halsey. I love spreadsheets. One of my favourite things to do over Christmas, which sounds really bad of me. I love spending time with my family, but the other thing I like to do is during the season, and of course we just go through the stats and we release who's done what for what season, and of course we release the overall stats and all that kind of jazz as well, which is really cool stuff. And I think Cirrus Mushroom is I think he's at the top now with the most starts. Apparently he's got over 300 starts. So in ALR, by the way, in ALR alone. So whether that's right or not remains to be seen, but I don't do me tallies until the next couple of months or so. As out of the final turn there is Hannington, and I must say Hannington, I wonder if he was thinking about going the pitch now. The two McLarens have swapped positions here. The top 5 have not pitted yet. As you can see that Equals is still 3.5 seconds away from his teammate at the moment, so maybe the intermediate tyres are still not the preferred race tyre. There's the two McLarens that have swapped positions. Cody down to 12, and Mad Max is now all over the gearbox as well, and then right behind Mad Max is Kieran there. I have A4 pads with data lap times going back to 2010. Oh yes. I must admit, I'm also a bit of a clean freak as well. So sometimes I used to go through a spring clean and then throw away a lot of me notes and stuff. Sadly, I do love a bit of pen and paper as well. Oh, it's fantastic. To be honest, we should share notes sometime. But I haven't said that actually props don't, because I've only got me notes back from 2018 when we first started ALR. Sadly, the only other notes I probably do, I was probably when I used to do. This sounds really nerdy now, and I apologise. But back in the day, I used to like to do like F1 championships and like do like career modes before career modes was a thing. So like on F1 95 and 97, I used to like to go through and like and just like note about how many stats and all that kind of stuff. So, gosh, but, God, I'm so nerdy and all. I need to get a hobby, you guys, don't I? I'm glad someone else is as sad as me. We're not sad. We are men that are passionate, aren't we, Halsey? To be fair, I must admit, I am a little embarrassed to sometimes when I talk about like how passionate I am about stats, because when we first started the ALR stuff and all that kind of stuff, I don't think any of the admins even cared about stats. Farf didn't care, Smithy didn't. Well, Smithy cared a bit because I think he had his own stat book as well, but I don't think Farf and Knowles cared, sadly. So there's me banging on about stats and no one else cared. But luckily, Smithy was able to make me feel better about myself. And now Halsey has made me feel 100 times better. So I love that. I do love good stats. It's fantastic. Of course, I've dived back into doing the F1 challenge at the moment on PC. Well, I say PC, it's just a crappy old laptop I've got. But I'm absolutely loving that because you can like customize and edit like which driver goes where, and then you can also like have mods where you can like get mods off the internet of like each season and stuff like that. So I started on 1990 and I'm just like working my way up. I think I'm on 92 at the moment. I gotta say I am still rubbish at that game, which is a bit sad, but there we go. But I love it. Absolutely love it. I've also got like spreadsheets of that as well, to be fair, of like as the season's gone and things like. It's quite a cool thing to like of what if kind of thing, isn't it? Hannington is not going to be interested about my F1 career challenge, though, is he? He wants to get past Riley, but Riley is not really a bit of a doorstop at the moment, is he? He is certainly keeping up the pace. The gap is only 1.3 seconds, which is pretty impressive indeed there. Passionate Lid said, I'm known in Australia as Halsey the Stat Man. Even had a league made my own at Halsey Bible to record stats in. I don't have trust. I don't say I don't have trust. I don't like the other admins like doing my stats up because I'm like, oh, if they've done it right. Even though I've just basically added like a number up and all that kind of stuff. But you know, it doesn't feel right. I have to do it myself. Even when I'm like a little behind or when I'm ill, then Dolsey and Farfel is Nosy Farf and all the other admins usually offer. But they're like, no, it's mine. In good 70. They sold them in their league at merch shop as well. Oh, do you reckon we'll get any money for my stat book? Absolutely not. I don't think that's going to happen at all, is it? As Kieran has made his way past Mad Max now and up into 12th position. Next target is intermediate shot Stars. But I've got to say, the intermediate tires are not exactly woasting away from this at the moment. Equals is still dropping back. He's 4.8 seconds behind his teammate. And with RCB and Jenner all over his gearbox, I don't think the intermediate tires are the way to go. By the way, Halsey, how much did your stat book go? I might have to see if I can get one myself. But because there's always room for improvement on the ODA stat area, isn't there? I always edit me spreadsheets every year as well because I always find something I'm like, oh, I don't like that anymore. Because it's also important about the format as well. I'm sorry, guys. I think a lot of you guys are probably like, what is he talking about? He's talking about an Excel spreadsheet in an F1 stream. What is going on here? Shocking indeed, isn't it? Right, I've got to go back to work now. Sorry for the dribble talk, lad said. Yeah, that is Halsey's fault and not mine. I did not contribute to that whatsoever. Have a good shift there, Halsey. It's great talking to you about stats as well. I've got to say, I'm getting all hot and sweaty up here in the comments box. Fantastic. But yeah, I do love I do love me spreadsheets and stuff like that. It's very important. It's probably more important than the race itself, Ben. But of course, that is why I'm not a driver recruiter, and that is why I'm probably not a driver at heart either. Try check back later on, says Halsey. Have a good one, my good sir. A pleasure talking to you about stats. I'm glad I found someone else who is just as nerdy as I am. I love it. Brilliant stuff indeed. Powering up the hill as well. Then comes Hannington again, and he's not interested about my stat book. He wants to get past Riley on lap 12, lap 13 out of 71. Goodness gracious me. There's us just waffling on then. Vester's dropped back. Oh, Hannington had a sniff at the inside of Riley. Riley slammed the door shut, though, on the Mercedes toes. Liam has got the first penalty of the night, unfortunately, so that is the walk of shame, Liam, unfortunately, that he has to participate. But at the moment, we've got a couple of battles up and down the order there, but now Riley is starting to defend it. My 400% blame me, race ban, says Halsey. To us, Halsey, I'll probably get a week ban then. Luckily, we've got a week off next week, so maybe we'll take that during the week off there. As Kieran is up into 11th position now, so the intermediate tyres starting to now talk to the circuit. A lovely drift there from Kieran, and a free goes past Stalls, but Stalls has been on these intermediate tyres now since the start of the Grand Prix, and look at that, then there's a dry patch starting to emerge there. Of course, F1 cars are incredible machines for throwing the water back up into the sky where it belongs. So I think that that is why we're probably starting to see a bit of a dry patch forming, or a racing line forming rather than a dry patch there. Going down into turn number 4 as well. Lovely stuff indeed there. All 19 cars are still in the race. We should have 20 cars, but a certain Ginger Rage decided to MIA then, which is disgraceful behaviour indeed there. Can't get the drivers these days, can't you? Goodness me. It's just on board with Tori, who's I think lost out to Knowles there, by the way, and fantastic helmet design as well from Tori. Lovely jubbly. Brilliant stuff indeed. I think we should have helmet of the season in ALR, but I don't think any of the admins there want to improve on that. However, one thing that I am going to submit to Percy and Coop is my overtake of the season award back in USA. I think it was on Mad Max. I don't think Mad Max appreciated it too much, and let's be honest about it, it wasn't really an overtake. I misjudged my braking point because I think I was arguing with Serious Mushroom at the time. But I'm still going to submit it because I need some kind of award tonight for this season, because I have a feeling I'm going to get the wooden spoon. Van Von has got a 3-second penalty as well, unfortunately, in the kick Sauber. Van Von, of course, is recovering from an injury, is a Van Von then, so he's not going to be his best then, but I think that Van Von probably wants to complete the season. I think he'll be looking forward to these 2 weeks off, to be honest, so he can recover properly and then just get these final 3 races done in Van Von. Get some consistency on the board then, which is consistency is the key. It's the key, as we've heard from Halsey, and that would certainly get you going then, I feel, for next season. I know consistency is absolutely key, because when I've been racing this, here comes Hannington now, then he's going to go on the outside then, so Riley's going to stay on the inside then. I've got to say, without DRS then, similar to Gold on Sunday, that the overtaking is not a slam dunk is what I thought it would be, and I'm quite surprised for a circuit like Brazil. Really am indeed then, but still Riley is still in second position. Hannington is still in third at the moment, so once again the status quo. Legends in 5th position, he's there in the background now. The other half of Equals is in 6th. He's hoping to gain some points on reflections reflections tonight then, but as reflections not here, but it's just not happening at the moment now, unfortunately, for the man who's second in the drivers' championship there. So not ideal at the moment. Lap 15 out of 71 here. Cam is lost 0.2 of a second somewhere, so that's unfortunate there for Cam. Then this is going to be certainly very much about a pressure cooker, I think is going to be the term, and really going to have to focus the mind at this one tonight. Then with no DRS, then I think you're going to be stuck behind drivers for umpteen laps or so. So you've really got to make sure that you do not start to stare into the back of the rear diffuser of the car in front of you and follow them off if they have an incident or anything like that. So you've got to be alert then on these kind of races. As Jolyon Palmer once said, you've got to be alert on a street circuit, which I think was in 2016, and then ironically he crashed. So that was a great meme back in the day. Here comes Hannington again and having a sniff, but once again Riley is quite a slippery thing in a straight line. Cam has lost a half a second somewhere, so I think that now Riley and Hannington are starting to home back in. Vescher's a second and a half back. I'm wondering if Vescher's dropped back just to lower those temperatures on those tires potentially. Legends is now only 2 seconds back, so they're starting to concertina now towards each other. Now this could get very interesting indeed then. Of course, in terms of strategy, with a wet weather race, you do not have to use no different tires at all then. Of course, that goes out the window. So you have to. So basically depends on the tire, on the weather condition. Sorry, I smashed my mic as I was trying to scratch my nose. I wasn't picking it, I swear. Right, where's my bottle of Coke then? I think I found my slippers because I'm kicking something, but actually, what is that? Oh gosh, I don't want to know. I don't want to know what's under that table. Let's just say when I was doing a bit of spring cleaning last night, a lot of things just went under my bed, under my table, and God knows where everything else is as well. It's accelerated away. Coming up the hill again then. As Cirrus Mushroom has got past Cody, as Cody is down into 19th position and Cirrus Mushroom up to 18th. What I was saying earlier on this race then, one of the most impressive things I have seen with these drivers, or as the race goes on, the drivers are just so consistently quick, lap after lap after lap. They lap within a couple of tenths of themselves. Vescher's got a 3-second penalty. Not Vescher then, but the drivers just lap consistently, lap after lap after lap, within a couple of tenths of a second of each of their lap times. It is so incredible how they can keep the tyre life going, to keep the consistency going, and following each other as well, and not making a single mistake. Because as the races go on, I notice it. And I'm on fresh tyres doing all right, but then I start to drop further and further back. And it's because I can't keep the tyre life. It's also because I can't keep the consistency, and also because I'm slow as well. And also I get penalties and all that kind of jazz. And so basically it's a vicious cycle, and I'm only in here to bulk up the numbers, to be honest, or to be a sub-commentator. So I must admit I feel very loved in the event league, to be fair. But unfortunately for these drivers tonight, what is not guaranteed when I'm not racing in the event league is a safety car, as they do call me Safety Car Sean for some reason or another. But tonight I am not going to be causing the safety car, so we could have a straightforward race then, or as straightforward as it can be in these weather conditions. Because over the course of the year in Brazil, we have had absolute we've had absolutely incredible races in the wet there. The first wet race that comes to mind in Brazil is the 2003 race, one of my all-time favourites. Absolute barney of a race then, and this was in a very weird time in F1, because this was the first year where they were starting to tinker with the rules ever so slightly, as Cody is trying to get past Cirrus Mushroom up the inside. Mushroom stays on the outside, but he's gone wide here. Cody's going to go up the inside, knocking Mushroom ever so slightly, and I think the Mushroom's going to be waving his fist at that Cody there, as he's not going to be too fond of that, is he, at the pine tree? But Cirrus Mushroom is still in 18th position above there, as Mad Max is now all over the back of Styles, and that is of course with the intermediate tyre shot of Styles. Can these intermediate tyres do a one-stopper? Can these wet weather tyres do one-stops? I do not know, to be honest, which is not a very good thing to do, is it? I should be at least informing you guys that is watching tonight, but unfortunately I do not know, which makes it exciting for me, probably not for you guys. But going back to the 2003 race, a very odd year because, of course, one of the cost-cutting measures, cost-cutter, oh, I used to love that shot, cost-cutting measures was of course, where they only took one type of wet weather tyre. And normally, often than not, then, they never took the full wet tyre. They only ever took the intermediate tyres, which is very odd, wasn't it? A very interesting thing. So when it came to Brazil, it was quite heavy rain then. I don't think it was as heavy as this, to be fair, but it was still enough for the intermediate tyre struggle. So we did have umpteen laps behind the safety car, and then of course turn 3 did turn into a bit of a car park there, as a lot of drivers started to crash them, because I think there was like a lot of water started to distribute onto turn 3, and it caused a bit of a river, didn't it? And a lot of drivers went off. Very good race. If any of you are sad enough to watch an F1 race, I suggest you go and watch the F1 2003 race from F1, the Brazilian Grand Prix from 2003. It was absolutely superlative to watch there. And even the legendary rain master Michael Schumacher even had a crash at turn 3 as well as of course the legend himself, Jos Verstappen. Of course, Max Verstappen's dad also had a spin, but I think unlike Michael Schumacher, Jos Verstappen didn't actually crash. I think he's the only driver that spun and kept going there. Hello to TK there. Good evening to you, my good sir. I haven't seen TK for a while. Of course, a driver with a lot lot of good history in ALR. Certainly in bronze, and of course silver silver was a bit more challenging for TK, but great to see you, my good man. I hope you're all well and fine and dandy on this lovely Wednesday then. Hannington has set the fast up the race, and he's all over the back of Riley going into the centre S, but no dice at the moment, but Riley's gone wide, and look at this, and Cam is only a second back as well then. So going all over the back, and now he's going to go up the inside into that infamous turn 3, and they're going to go wheel to wheel then. Look at this then, wheel to wheel in these wet weather conditions. This is very dangerous stuff indeed up the inside, and no, Hannington is still behind Riley, and that's going to be frustrating for the Mercedes driver, but he's gone, no, not quite, as Riley keeps up position. Does ALR miss me yet, TK? We absolutely do miss you. Of course, TK was a very, of course, a very entertaining man indeed, especially in the paddock there. So it's good to see TK in the comments and such as well. That's one thing I do like about doing this shtick, is we get to see a lot of old faces that come back into the stream every once in a while, which is all cool stuff indeed. Knowlesy's in the pits already. So why is Knowlesy in the pits, I hear outside? Well, he's in the pits now, in the racing ball. Of course, we're just waiting for those, we're just looking for those white overall mechanics. Well, there they are, and that is back on. That's onto the wet weather tyres. So is the rain getting heavier? I gotta say, it's coming down like cats and dogs now. I don't know where that saying comes from, but are we happy yet? Because I gotta say, the rain has started to intensify, and Cam has also lost a lot of time as well. Now Riley, as the rain is getting heavier, Riley, I think, is starting to pick up pace now. He is starting to really put the pressure on the race at the oh, sorry, I hit my mic again, on the racing board driver. So I think that Riley is starting to pick up some pace as well. They're leaving Vester, because Vester is now 2 seconds back. If Legends has found half a second in the last umpteen laps or so. But this is going to get very interesting indeed, and of course we're not even halfway through this at Grand Prix yet. This is still a long old slog for the drivers, and for me as well, as unfortunately I've lost my bottle of Coke, which means I'm going to have to get the old squash on the go, which I get from Tesco's. Into the pits comes Kieran as well. Kieran, almost speeding coming in the pits. A great drift, of course, from Kieran, who has won. Where is he on the spreadsheet? He's won, of course, he's won 50% of the races he's entered this season. 6 starts, 3 wins there. But of course, he didn't have a podium last time. He did have a podium, didn't he? No, he didn't. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong. I was looking at the points there, of course, are different in 100%. Out of the pits now comes Kieran. Lovely drift as well. We've also got Styles in the pits. Well, that is Styles' first pit stop here tonight. He started on the intermediate tyres in Styles, so that's the first pit stop. He hasn't made much headway though, has Styles. Back at the front, this has been the most intriguing part of the race so far. These 3 drivers have been nose to tail. We've got more drivers into the pits as well. I'm absolutely astonished with the keeping these tyres in the operating window. It's absolutely superlative stuff indeed from all 3 drivers. But Vessier is now starting to come into the clutches of Legends. Now, this has been a slow burn of the opening couple of laps here, but here's Hannington now all over the gearbox of the Aston Martin. He's going this way and that way. The Aston Martin is parked right in the middle of the corner, and Hannington has had to back out there. And look at the slide that he's got there. And Riley is now really starting to be in the ascendancy and starting to put some pressure on. Jinner having a look then on RTB, but it's so difficult without DRS there. It's very much like follow the leader at this stage of proceedings. Jinner then just getting a bit squirrely as well. So all of a sudden, this race has started to become a bit livened up now, which is a shame, because I was talking about the story of the 2003 Brazilian Grand Prix. So I am devastated by that. Cody lets through the leaders, and Cody, of course, on the intermediate tyres, and I'm wondering if Cody's thinking about coming in. Whoa, was that contact there between the Aston Martin and the Mercedes potentially? Serious Mushroom's just been in the pits as well, down in 19th position, unfortunately. Serious Mushroom is there, but I think he's on the right tyre now, the wet weather tyres, and that was shift. Is it 80 litres of water per second? Goodness gracious me, you can fill up so many bathtubs in quick succession there. Knowlesy's through, passes Marsky as he comes into the pits. Anyone into the pits? No, they all stay out. How incredible, like these drivers that have not pitted yet, and the wet weather tyres are still shifting the amount of water quarter is absolutely phenomenal. Legends is too far back into the center S as well. And look at that then. We had a close shot up there of how the water is being shifted by these wet weather tires. It's beyond me. It is incredible. It is absolutely incredible, albeit real life Pirelli wets do not get shown too often, do they? They're more of a show tire rather than an actual race tire, which is sad, isn't it? Hopefully they'll get that sorted soon. Or maybe it's just the cars themselves. Marsky back in the pits. What's happened to Marsky? That's 2 pit stops in a row for Marsky, unfortunately. So we're keeping an eye on this battle at the front there, and looking very intriguing indeed then. Unless Marsky is still in the pits, that's been a very long pit stop if that's the case there. This is the problem with Luke ain't commentating. At least Luke follows the action, unlike me, who has no idea what is going on. My word. But now on board. Look at this. Cam has lost a lot of time because Riley's all over the gearbox. Hannington's all over the gearbox as well. Of course, Hannington potentially could have and should have won his first race last night, albeit of a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit. He's got to be careful coming into the pits here tonight. But goodness me, he's on the ascendancy is Hannington, and it's absolutely great stuff indeed to watch. As I love it. And look at this. He's all over the gearbox of Riley, but Riley in turn is all over the gearbox of Cam. And of course, look at that then. I thought that Riley lost it there on the straight, and that's going to really intrigue them. Hannington then going into the centre. Once again, though, Riley just parks his car in the middle part of the circuit there. Riley, of course, has not had a podium yet this season. This has so far been his strongest performance of the season in the Aston Martin, and he is absolutely tearing up the roof in the Aston Martin paddock and garages, I am sure of it. And so is Vesh as well. Aston Martin are the highest constructor at the moment in second and fourth. Then we got the 2 Haas cars of Legends, who is now putting pressure on Vesh here. Quattles has found a couple of tens of seconds since we last checked in, but as it stands, it's still status quo. It's very stagnant out there. Is it stagnant? It's very much status. I don't know. It's basically still. That would do, isn't it? I use these big words, and I just confuse myself. As coming out to the pine tree, as Cam there going almost to the wall there. Nigel Mansell had a crash, I would say, with Ayrton Senna there in qualifying in '92, I think it was. As he thought Senna was letting him through, whilst Senna was, I think, sorting something else out as well. Yeah, I seen it on the season review the other day. As of course I've been racing at 92 in F1 Challenge, and I also like to see what's going on in the real F1 as well at the time, which is cool stuff indeed. But here's Hannington. He is now got a good run then on the start finish straight into turn 1 of the center outside. Is he going to go for it? He has a look at the inside. Can Riley stay on the outside? That's contact, and Riley has spun then. Oh goodness me, yellow flag said as they were going wheel to wheel. Riley's back on the circuit now. It's Riley. Was Hannington a bit too far? Was Hannington too far back for the manoeuvre, or was he alongside? I must say, I think that Hannington, I wonder if Hannington may have just understeered into the side of Riley potentially there. Whatever the case may be, that's a lot of pace loss for Riley, a lot of time lost for Riley. That might have let Cam off the hook, so to speak. But Riley does have the pace. Hopefully he's not got damage to the Aston Martin. He needs to get back into a rhythm there. That car is looking a bit unstable though for Riley. I'm wondering if the wet tyres may have also fallen out of the performance window as well, potentially, the Aston Martin. But let's see then, as the gap is 3.3 seconds for Riley. We're on board now, the Aston Martin driver, as he is trying to recover now. But goodness me, not ideal at all. And Hannington is now flying and coming up to the back of Cam. Mighty rate of knots then. Knots is probably the best way to describe these wet weather conditions at the moment, because it's absolutely saturated on the track there. Of course, it was, I wouldn't say the track was drying, but I think the weather did ease off. Now all of a sudden it is coming down like cats and dogs then, with Hannington now all over the gearbox of Cam then. Is he going to have a look then? Not quite there. It's very wet on the inside as well, so you've got to keep an eye on that as well. So if you do go for a lunge there, you've got to also judge the condition there. You don't want to go sailing into your competitor there. I think Nico Hülkenberg had a clash with Lewis Hamilton there in 2012 in Hamilton's final race for the McLaren team, didn't he? Of course, that was Hülkenberg's major opportunity to win a Grand Prix and to get on the podium. Of course, he did umpteen years later, about 13 years later in the end, didn't he? But Hülkenberg could have been on the podium so many occasions there before he finally did get on the podium back in the British Grand Prix of 2025, which I think is probably the best moment of F1 2025 so far, maybe. But I've got to say, it is getting very exciting in F125, isn't it? Cannot wait to see how it transpires this weekend, albeit it is a sprint race. So that's a bit unfortunate. And what makes it what is good about the sprint race in America, though, is the fact is at least I can watch them live, because if you're at work, you can't really watch them. That's probably why I'm not also keen of. That's why I'm probably not so bothered if F1 gets rid of Friday. But but I'm not sure if the circuit owners would like that, because that'd be a cost cut, wouldn't it? Well, they would have to pay. They would probably have to pay the same, but to get less track action. Here comes Hannington as well then. Well, that's a different story for a different day then. On the outside then into the centre SN, and Hannington is going for it. Of course, Cam has the inside there with no DRS and of course no drag reduction. It's so much more difficult to do an overtake, isn't it? As into the pits comes Vessier then. So Vessier has been struggling on those wet tyres for the past couple of laps now. And again then Cam then just repels the attack then and going down into turn 4. So Riley is now starting to get his foot down again then, and he is starting to drop legends. Vessier has gone intermediate tyres, so he's gone against the grain. The latest pit stops where you've seen drivers going from inters to wets, whilst Vessier has gone from wets to intermediate tyres on lap 27. And they might be thinking about trying to get to the end now as well then, because they've got to keep them in the correct operating window, and also as well they've got to make sure that they do not wear out too quickly. I'm very impressed with these wet weather and intermediate tyres, because I thought they was going to fall apart and we was going to have a multi-stop race here. That was certainly my idea going into this race when I was a competitor. Luckily, I am not a competitor, because I think I would have pitted 5 times already there. And Booker T would have been happy with me on that one, as he is 5-time WCW champion, of course. Riley is for 3.5 seconds back then, so he is gaining. Riley is there. So can he put that setback behind him, and now start to really reel these two in then in the front then. Hannington once again, and I thought he was in the pits, and maybe he made a mistake there, or maybe he just wrong-footed me, possibly one or the other, possibly or combination of all three. But too far back at the moment is Gary, as Cam at the moment is under a serious amount of pressure. Back in the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th position there. Again, not a lot has changed at the moment, has it? But Equals there is struggling on the intermediate tyres. I say he's struggling. He's starting to home in now on Legends, though. Even though he's been on these tyres for a very long time, Equals is starting to home in on his teammate ever so slightly. Look at them all breaking the slipstream there. I think they're also trying to cool these intermediate tyres down as well, because they are probably starting to cook ever so slightly. These wet and intermediate tyres do prefer more of the cooler conditions, of course. Of course, the hotter they get, the less grip they give, I think. Kieran then, of course, any of you long-time viewers of the event league this season in ALR, well, Kieran is really struggling at the moment there. Of course, down in 13th position is the Kick Sauber, unfortunately. He's pitted twice, has Kieran. He was I think, in 4th or 5th position before he pitted, but it really hasn't made any headway, has he, in those 2 pit stops so far. So Kieran there is a bit lost at sea at the moment, isn't he? Potentially, or is is this potentially the best tire to be on that? He is the second highest driver that has pitted then, of course, and he's got the second youngest tyres, apart from this man here, which is Vessier. Back at the front, because Gary's all over the gearbox once again, and as I almost missed it, I did miss the action there. I apologise. Hang on. Excuse me. Oh, good Lord. I still got a little spot of man flu as well, unfortunately. But Gary there just just a bit too far back as well. Hannington, I should say. Apologies. That's very rude to call him by his first name now. I don't even know the gentleman. Jenna then still behind in 7th position. 6th position and 5th position is Equals at the moment. Kieran has got Jay Hings. Jay Hings has got Kieran for company. Now Kieran has got much fresher boots here. Jay Hings there is struggling to, where are they? They're coming over the brow of the hill now. Jay Hings is struggling to get his power down there, and is squirreling all over the show in this race. Thank goodness gracious me, but Jay Hings has some good top end speed. And again, then I keep saying that with no DRS there, it's much more difficult to overtake. It feels a bit like old school F1 now, doesn't it? You got to really earn your overtakes tonight. Then, of course, that is what we love to see. The battle between Cody Morsky and Sirius Mushroom is starting to heat up as well. Back at the front then, Hannington is all over the gearbox again. A Cam then as they power up the hill then. And now then, is Cam going to get defensive? He's going to have to get defensive once again. And it was very close then between the two drivers last time around then. It could be just as close this time. not quite then, as of course he's still too far back. You need to be a lot closer, don't you, coming up that hill. Legends is now home back in on Riley. Riley is struggling to get back into the rhythm of things then, as they are flying past as well. Kieran is also giving all kinds of grief now to Jay Hings there. Jay Hings has been on these tyres for 22 laps. Kieran's only been on these wet weather tyres for 8 laps so far in this one there. So these so Kieran does have fresh boots there, but he just hasn't got the top end speed in that kick Sauber. Of course, this is realistic performance in the event league, which certainly makes it more challenging in terms of the tyre life, in terms of top end speed, and in terms of car performance as well. Of course, the kick Sauber being rated the slowest car this season. I'm not sure if that's still the case there. So Kieran is really having to use his racing knowledge here to combat and fight against Jay Hings there. And Jay Hings using the grunt of the Mercedes, the mighty Mercedes, to get to keep third and 12th position ahead of Kieran into turn 1. Status quo once again. As we just had a flash of Cam there, and Cam really hacksawing away at that wheel, really struggling to get the power down into Magulio the dive, and now Hannington is all over the gearbox once again, but I feel it's too far back. 4/10 of a second looks so close to that. How could 4/10 of a second be so far back? Even with the might of the Mercedes-Benz AMG behind him, Hannington just hasn't got the grunt then. Riley into the pits, about half distance now then. I wonder if there's going to be an undercut in these conditions there. I'm not sure, to be fair, and let's see how this one transpires. Kieran is still hassling Jay Hings and Cody, Marsky and Cirrus Mushroom as we're on board with Mushroom there. Lovely pink helmet there as Mushroom is about to get lapped, I think, by one of the Aston Martins. Marsky trying to get past the McLaren, and of course McLaren is the quickest car in terms of performance here tonight there, so that is going to be a difficult car to try and get past. Riley coming out of the pits in 8th position there. It's going to be tight, actually. It's going to be very tight, because look at that as he's drifting out of the pit lane. There's a McLaren there. We got the Ferrari there as well, and the Red Bull, and Riley comes out of the pits just in, well, no, they're all being lapped, actually, aren't they? So there's not tight at all. Maybe I should probably look at the track map shown in the tower. My word. At least I thought it was, at least I was getting excited about something, wasn't I? Then again, I've been excited about a lot of things tonight, haven't I? And I've been treated to an absolute barnstorm of a race there. Kieran, who is probably getting fed up with seeing the back of this Mercedes rear wing now, isn't he? He's going to be able to draw it by the end of this one. And I think the same for Hannington as well. He's going to be able to draw that Racing Bull rear wing down into turn 4, but Kieran is still not through yet. It is into the pits comes the race leader, and we got a change of the lead for the first time on lap 32 then. Of course, this has been very much a thinking man's race there, which is lucky for me that I'm not racing. So former race leader into the pits now then. He has to stop on his marks. Beautiful stuff indeed. You do not want to overshoot here, otherwise it's going to be painful. Wet tyres still going on then for Camden. I think that's the correct decision, but based on what, Sean? Absolutely nothing. But it just feels like that it's still the conditions out there are still quite wet. Kieran has finally got past Jay Hings. An opportunist manoeuvre as well there for Kieran, and up into 12th position. I apologise, I missed that completely. But Kieran is through and in 12th position now in the kick Sauber. And of course, that is where he needed to do that, to be honest there, because there's Marsky getting through, and Marsky now unlapping himself from the Aston Martin, as Cody is still there though. Cody is still there. Of course, when you're getting lapped, you all ghost, don't you? So it's a bit more difficult to race each other than, which I prefer if the cars didn't ghost, because I think it was much more interesting myself in. But that is just me, of course. Oh, I got a new follower on Instagram. Fantastic. Just watching Marsky as well. Focus short. Over the brow of the hill, there comes that Hannington now. Is he going to respond? Is he coming into the pits? He is coming into the pits. The race leader is in the pits now. Mad Max also in the pits for the Williams car. Has to slow down there to 80 kilometers an hour. This is the longest pit lane, I think, in terms of distance. In Formula 1. I don't think it's the longest pit lane in terms of being on this pit lane speed limit, but it's the longest pit lane from start to from like pit entry to pit exit. Well, I think it was. Anyway, that was the start I heard from like 2021 or 2020. Out of the pits now comes Hannington, and where is Cam? There is Cam. Has he done enough? It looks like that Hannington has had an almighty in-lap here, but look, Cam is going to be on the outside here. There he is, and look at this as Hannington is just just drifting out of the pit lane, and Cam just about keeps the de facto lead then. Currently he's not leading them, but the cars in front of him still have to pit. Well, technically they don't have to pit, they can go to the end, but Cam is the highest runner on fresh tyres. That was crucial. Riley has lost a bit of time there. He's almost double behind us now. Kieran is starting to kick it up a notch then in 11th position there. As we mentioned, the man who's won 3 of the 6 races participating in so far this season, down in 11th position at the moment there. So mission critical for Kieran at the moment. Unfortunately for Kieran then, he has joined the championship a bit too late, so hasn't been able to put in a championship run. He's officially, mathematically he cannot win the championship, Kieran can, but my goodness me, he is going to certainly be a thorn in the side for the drivers contested for the championship. The likes of Equals, the likes of Reflection is the top 2 in the championship at the moment, but Hannington then is going to hopefully is going to try and put the pressure on then with both drivers and try to find their feet, find their tires there on these opening exchanges on these new tires there. So Legends leads then as we're approaching half distance, 3 seconds in front of Equals on the intermediate tires. R2 beat in third position with Jinner in fourth. Jinner's made a mistake somewhere because he has lost 2.5 seconds. Carl's Van Von in 5th position there. Cam and Hannington in 6th and 7th position as Cody and Marsky have swapped positions. Riley has lost a lot of time then on the intermediate tyres. The intermediate tyres are not the way to go. You can see the amount of spray that comes off the tyres down into turn 4, which I feel is probably contributing to why Riley is struggling out there at the moment. Vesser also on intermediate tyres, while both Aston Martins are not enjoying this stage of the race so far, which is unfortunate because they were both very much in it for the fight for the podium. And if this is a wrong tyre choice, this could end up that both drivers are not going to be on the podium, which would be an absolute disaster for Aston Martin tonight. They have both had absolute incredible pace out there, but unfortunately that's not the case at the moment. Where was I? 9th position is Vessier. 10th is Liam, who is yet to pit in that Ferrari. Great drive from Liam so far. Difficult slog this season for Liam, but my goodness me, hats off to him for keeping with it into the pits as the race leader. Legends there as the first pit stop of the race as well for the race leader. Then we have got the Kieran in 11th position, but he is now 18 seconds back. He's taken 2 seconds out of Liam in the last couple of laps. We've also got Jinner in the pits as well. 30th position is Jay Hinks' 12th position on intermediate tyres as we go into turn 1 there. And no dice then. Out of the pits comes Legends. Out of the pits, Jinner. Legends has gone wet tyres, whilst Jinner has gone on intermediate tyres. Legends is, where is Legends going to come out? Is he going to come out in front of the Aston Martin here? As we're on board now, as, no, Legends is through. Cody is out of the Grand Prix. That's our first retirement on lap 35, whilst Legends is through and into 6th position there. So Aston Martin, I think, have made a strategical error here, and I think that Jinner may have made this error as well. Intermediate tyres, I don't think are the way to go at the moment, just judging from the pace of the wet weather tyres out there. A Hannington again. I've got to say, it's a Hannington Cam show tonight. They're driving absolutely splendidly well in such tough conditions out there. R2 beat then coming down to Magulio the dive. Equals there. Oh, drifting there is Equals. I think that again the lack of DRS there shows the issues of modern Formula 1 machinery. Yes, we do have ground effect, but even with ground effect, these cars are so big and bulky to overtake, and I feel that this is really rearing its head in this Grand Prix, especially in a circuit like Brazil, where you've got a couple of decent passing opportunities, but I think it just shows how difficult these are to overtake. And hopefully the 2026 rules will make it slightly easier, but at the moment then that's not the case at all, because Hannington, for example, has been I think the quicker of the two drivers between Cam and himself there for the past couple of laps, but he just can't get through at the moment. So there, I think that this is kind of like I know it's only a game, but here just shows the problems of modern Formula 1 cars. They're too big and bulky in my opinion, and I think they should be slimmed down, and hence why I was quite a big fan of maybe having the V10 or even the V8 engines, because I think that one of the problems is the cars are too big and heavy, and that's because of the hybrid units, I believe. By the way, I get all my information off YouTube, so whatever they say goes. So they could be saying all kinds of stuff, and I'll be like, yes, that sounds right, even though it's completely wrong then. Cody, sorry guys, the car is undrivable, apologies. So Cody, the first retirement in this race, down to 18 runners and riders. So unfortunately, Cody out of the Grand Prix. Both McLarens have not really enjoyed these conditions at all, and I'm wondering if these wet weather conditions have actually equalised some of the car performance potential out there tonight. Knowlesy is cashed into the back of Tory in the battle for 14th and 15th position. Knowlesy on wet weather tyres has done 16 laps on these wet weather tyres, whilst Tory has done 29 laps on those intermediates. And here comes Knowlesy now. Then can we see a pass there for Knowlesy? I think this is his final race of the event league this year. This season, because of course he is swanning off to this race actually in Brazil. And here comes Hallington, and he is purple. He's on the outside, and he's going for into turn one there. Cam gets across and it just keeps fourth position just about. My word. Hallington there was so quick up that hill that I think he used a lot of deployment, didn't he, to power up out of Young Sao going up into the centre S. But Cam is still there, isn't he? Goodness gracious me. Vasher's in the pits. Only 10 laps on those intermediate tyres. That to us confirms surely the intermediate tyres are not the best tyre out there to be on. As once again, as Kieran is setting up fast up, Kieran is really homing in now, hand over fist to the drivers in front of him. Kieran has really found a sweet spot now in that kick Sauber and has really started to go great guns in this Grand Prix. His teammate Van Von is currently in third position, not stopped. The only driver who's yet to stop in this race is Liam, who's having a great drive out there. Then we've got Van Von in third position, followed by R2B in second position, and Equals leading the race. And Equals on intermediate tyres has not stopped. And the other drivers that have also not stopped on the full wet tyres as it stands on the road. And how many times can I say tyres in the last couple of minutes? A lot then. Having said that, tyres are the most important part of an F1 car, because that is the for contact patches. There's Van Von. We were just talking about him just a minute ago. Van Von then is being homed in now on these drivers, isn't he? As I wonder if Van Von's going to try and extend into the pits. Comes Amado second in the race at the moment. That is R2 Beat, of course, an expert in this repertoire of racing. And of course, R2 Beat made his debut in ALR when the 100% idea came into place, of course, which was manufactured by Knowlesy, of course, albeit I think he stole it from another championship then. But of course, we don't talk about that, do we now? Goodness me. I told Knowlesy I'd missed his overtake. Marsky, and Marsky's having issues and he's out of the race, and that's a complete tools down, and he is done, and that is unfortunate for Marsky. I'm wondering if something's gone wrong with the Ferrari, and that is 2 retirements. Remember, it's the top 15 that get points in this championship, just like bronze said, of course, silver and gold. As Kieran taking a lot of curve there, goodness me, getting a bit greedy on the old curve there is Kieran. Of course, in the gold and silver, it is the top 10. I must say, I think that the top 10 positions are enough to award points, and I think any further down, and I feel because points you should earn personally. Of course, I did say that, but I think that I was a big fan of getting points in bronze then, and I think it was a good idea getting points in the event league as well, because it encourages drivers to carry on when potentially top 10 places are not on the cards. Again, Hannington is trying to go for the inside. This time he swaps to the outside. Legends at the fast operator. That's going to get the attention of these two. R2 Beat has got past Riley, and that underlines that the Aston Martin is not enjoying these intermediate tyres, but R2B up into 6th position. Hannington, oh my goodness me, and he's on the grass. There's contact, polystyrene all over the show as we go down into turn 4. Was that extreme there for Cam? Did Cam defend too hard there going down into turn 4? Well, luckily we got the stream on the oh, and more contact, and Cam again cutting across the circuit. And my goodness gracious me, sadly I missed it when I tried to look down. So remember that we did have a dispute, didn't we, in gold about something similar. I don't think we've seen the incident on stream between Brabbit and Percy, but it was something similar about not giving a car's width. I don't know the full details of it, because that means that I'll be prepared, which I've not been prepared for all my life, to be honest. But is that going to be? That could be a potential investigation coming Cam's way, maybe, which also adds to the intrigue in this Grand Prix. But I would say at the moment that Hannington is going to be very unhappy, maybe, with the defensive impressive driving of Cam there. Of course, back in the 90s when I first started watching it, there was a lot worse things going on out on the track, especially of one Eddie Irvine there who used to really stretch the rules, didn't he? Which, of course, we all loved, didn't we? Unless, of course, he wasn't an Eddie Irvine fan. Jenner is also going past Riley up into turn 1. This is such a shame for Riley, isn't it? I feel that Aston Martin have really hurt Riley and Vesser with their tyre choice at this stage there. The intermediate tyres, Riley has got so much more pace in this. Of course, there's contact down into the centre S there, and then Aston Martin threw on the intermediate tyres, and this has not paid off at all. While it has it, Van Vaughan coming out of the pits there, wet tyres on lap 40 out 71 in this very intriguing Grand Prix. Liam is finally coming to the pits. I reckon Liam is getting charged for those tyres, you know, as he's on a one stopper today. Great drive, by the way, from Liam. Is this his best drive of his event league career so far? Maybe I think it is so far, but there's still a long way to go. I also enjoyed his drive in Zandvoort a few weeks ago, back at the front, and this is getting very tense. Equals is staying out there still, and I'm wondering if Equals is going to try and go to the end there. On lap 41, we've got 30 odd laps to go. So in a normal championship race of gold, silver, and bronze head, we have basically got about 90% of the race still to go. Let's see how this transpires. Hannington on the outside once again. Legend has set another fast lap of the race. I reckon that Hannington is looking at Legends here and thinking, I've got to get me toe down here. I've got to start to go, because the Legends is on the move now, and he's now under 2.5 seconds. 2.2 seconds the gap is now. Hannington needs to get going in this one there. Having a sniff once again, but Cam there is not yielding, is it there? Of course, this is exactly what I want to see, the two drivers in the wet. Oh, Brazil, goodness gracious me. I almost fell off my poof. I thought Hannington was gone as well. Great driving from the Mercedes driver out there. But even so, as look, the drivers are snaking around then. I think the rain is starting to get lighter out there. Of course, this race, when the wild cards for the event league for tonight is wet weather. Of course, so it's the wet weather, of course. So it's a full wet race then, and I think the rain can get heavier, and it also can get light as well. And of course, some drivers have gone to intermediate, some drivers have gone to wet tyres. They've been going backwards and forwards there like a yo-yo, determined on what tyres to go on. Kieran's been on the wet tyres, then the inters, now back to the wets as well. Kieran's done 20 laps on those wet tyres, 21 laps for Knowlesy at the moment, and three laps there for Tory. But of course, the man with the most lappage is Equals, who's leading the Grand Prix, but it's not losing time hand over fist in this one at the moment. Hannington having another sniff going on the outside now into turn 1 there. Cam has gone beautifully. That is absolutely beautifully. I thought he was going to drift out wide there. Parked his car in the centre of the centre S there, and has kept his rather behind them. That is great defending there from Cam there. But there he is in the background there. Legends is starting to stalk his prey then, and the gap at the front is come down by about a second in the last couple of laps or so then. So that gap in the front there has started to disappear there for Equals. What is Equals' play going to be? Is that Hannington again and having a sniff up the inside? I must say, I've just been watching this, man. Throughout all of this race, it's been fantastic to watch. It really has indeed. And this has been entertaining stuff from start to finish. And unfortunately, I've got a grey shirt on tonight as well, so I've got me boob sweats on. So that's not good, is it? My goodness gracious me. I must say that I got to say, that reminds me of a time where I think I wore a white T-shirt once to the Toby Carvery, and I got the old meat sweats on as well. And of course, when you go to Toby Carvery, you have to have all three meats. And of course, the pork, the beef, and is it the lamb? Maybe. But absolutely beautiful stuff indeed. I do love Toby Carvery, and that reminds me, I might have to go again sometime. Maybe that's a weekend thing. As Tory is gone into the wall, and is that a safety car? How is that not a safety car? Okay, well, it is a VSC, but Tory's just gone into the wall. I reckon he's lost control coming into the pit lane, you know. We're down to 16 runners and riders, but that's beyond me that it's not a safety car here. Jinner's coming into the pits, though. That is certainly a dangerous area to retire. Of course, Felipe Massa crashed around this part of the circuit just before, didn't he? And of course, had that emotional walk down the pit lane in 2016 there in the wet. Then not as wet as this one, but well, actually, I think it was, to be fair. Not as wet as this one, but certainly with challenging conditions. R2B has got to drive through penalties. That's going to cost him majorly in this race there. And coming to the pit lane, slow down to 80 kilometers an hour, and unfortunately it's just got to trundle through the pit lane. So R2B, that is going to lose him a heap amount of time there. 16 runners remain out of the 19 that started in this one. Fair play to everyone still going now. Goodness gracious me, I would have gone long ago, to be fair. Good gosh. Surprised that's not a safety car, though. A safety car, I know that admin's going to boo me out of the building here. I love a good safety car. I think it would have really spiced up the race there. And that would have helped Equals, actually, wouldn't it? Really would indeed then. Of course, Equals, if he wins tonight, he will be 1 point, I think, behind the championship leader. Yes, he would have been 1 point behind Reflections if he won tonight. Here comes Hallington again then. And once again, look at this. He's got the slipstream here, and he's going to go for it on the outside into the centre S. And they're going side by side, wheel to wheel into the centre S. Hallington has braked slightly later, but Cam has got the inside position. Must be so frustrating for the Mercedes driver not to get past there, lap after lap after lap. My word. And going down into turn 4 once again. R2B is serving his penalty straight away. Is the Alpine driver. There he goes. Had frustration. I'm sure he's banging the steering wheel with anger and frustration there for R2B. It's not all over though, because he's going to come out the pit lane in front of Riley and in front of Jenna. Riley's coming to the pits as well. So Riley is now on the fresh tyres. And that might give the Aston Martin a new leash of life. What's happened there? One of the Red Bulls is off the circuit there. Cirrus Mushroom recovering down in 16 for this day. It's been a tough out slog for Cirrus Mushroom. Gap in the front, and there's yellow flags there. What's gone on then? Something got a bit awry. It's Mad Max who's off the circuit, and Mad Max has had it come across and come up the hill out of Young Sao. He hasn't damaged the Williams, but he's lost the position to Knowlesy, who's elevated himself back up into 13th position now. So Knowlesy then is starting to climb up the order. Next target is Jay Hings there, 5 seconds back on the intermediate tyres. Jay Hings is, of course. Hannington is just too far back at the moment there, as these two are absolutely having a great battle. Look at Legend. My goodness me, it's almost under a second now. Legends once again, they're coming under the radar. Kieran, Vessia, Riley and Jenna are going to have an almighty scrap, haven't they, for 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th positions here. So this is going to look very interesting indeed then. I cannot wait for that one. And thank you very much to Wainwright, who has just joined us as well. Of course, so that's fantastic stuff. Absolutely love that. There was self-promotion and all that kind of jazz. Of course, we don't do cross-play at the moment, but I have been barking on about cross-play because I know a lot of other leagues are doing it. But we are concerned about the stability of connections and all that kind of jazz. Of course, especially with, as we've seen over the past couple of races, about drivers coming and going, which is so frustrating. Because remember that some of these drivers do put some laps in during the day, or during just before the race. There, a bit of practice laps in there, just to see how the car feels and all that kind of stuff. And of course, if you lose connection, then it's so frustrating. Jay Hings is in the pits now, and I expect that Mercedes car is going to put on a blue striped wet tyre now. He has indeed, and Jay Hings could be quite a quick cookie towards the end of this one. Cam is set the fast of the race, and so Cam is now got away from Harrington. Whereas Harrington, I'm wondering if he's just now starting to harvest a bit there, and is about to prepare for a final attack. I say a final attack, we've got quite a lot of lappage to go, but the gap is now under 5 seconds. It's 4.5 seconds now. Equals is the only driver not on wet tyres now then. So Equals is the odd one out here at this stage of proceedings there. But of course, Equals has got a lot to lose in this race there. If he wins tonight, he'll be 1 point up behind Reflections there with just 2 races to go. And of course, we do have a 2-week break. Do we have a 2-week break in 100%? Not sure, I'll have a look. But whatever the case may be, with Las Vegas and Abu Dhabi are the final 2 races to come here in the event league then. And I must say, I like Las Vegas, but I've not raced on it too much, so I'm probably going to end up in the wall at the end of the strip, which is not good. So that's not going to be good at all. Kieran there just going into turn 4. So Kieran is having a bit of a low-key event here tonight, isn't he, in 9th position now, which I think his rivals are going to be delighted by. I do think that I'm wondering if that early pit stop for Kieran may have cost him there, but even in the early stages, Kieran, who's used actually lightning quick right from the get-go. It's not been this lightning quick here tonight in the kick Sauber, has he? But which has been very helpful for his rival side. But I'm wondering if Kieran's quite enjoyed actually this battling in the midfield. It's been a tough one. And just as the Cam gets the fast up last time around, Harrington. I keep saying Harrington. It's because of Stranger Things. That's my excuse anyway. Of course, Stranger Things is coming out soon, isn't it? I think it's for Halloween, isn't it? I cannot wait for that. I love it. I do love Stranger Things, but unfortunately I've been waiting far too long for it. As Riley coming out to the final corner as well, out of Young Sao, I should say. And now Kieran all over the gearbox as well. RTB is not going to fast up then. Is track condition improving, or the drivers now starting to unleash their true potential in the second half of this Grand Prix? On the outside there goes Riley. On the inside is Ginard, so where Riley's going to go on the outside. He's going to do it, you know. He's gone deep. He's going of the inside, and Ginard gives it just about an Aston Martin's nose cones with fantastic, but Kieran of the inside here, fantastic. Oh, and the Riley almost off the circuit there, and now Kieran, that's allowed Kieran through, now might even allow his teammate through as well, and Vessier into 4, and the two Aston Martins there are not after you, sir, is it? They're fighting tooth and nail for this 9th and 10th position there. I think both Aston Martins are going to be frustrated with the strategical calls there from the Aston Martin pit wall tonight. Both drivers have gone onto intermediate tyres, and I think that's the wrong call, and I think that's cost them at least a podium, maybe even more in this one. And now the two Aston Martins are fighting side by side. Hannington has got another fastest up then. Whatever you could do, I can do just as well, says Hannington then. And now at the inside goes Vesher as well. Goodness gracious me, Stars has got a 3-second penalty, languishing down in 14th position. Stars, who's on such a good run of form in bronze, and is he at the moment there. And I'm wondering then if bronze is going to be very much in the forefront of Stars' mind for the final stage of this World Championship. Out the final turn comes Vessier and Riley then, and I think that could be I think that might be it for now, as that's a McLaren off the circuit. That made me jump. Equals is now within a second there of Cam then, and Hannington is also being towed along as well. Legends has dropped off the back by a second there, so I think the rapid pace of Hannington and Cam there may have caught Legends by surprise in the last couple of laps or so, because they've really put their toes down and have been thrown in fastest laps. R2B has also been thrown in the fastest lap as well, as they're back on board, as the Aston Martins are still very much within within tenths of each other. They're so close in this one here tonight. Incredible stuff indeed then, as we approach 9 p.m. UK time on this lovely Wednesday evening. And my goodness me, this has been a long old slog then as well. How long have I been live? I have been live for almost an hour and a half. Thank goodness gracious me. Usually I'm going to bed right now. As Cam then, who's now going to have a go. He has to do this quite quickly, I feel, because if he makes a mistake and not getting past Equals as quickly as possible, I feel that this is going to open the door to Hannington to get through and maybe take the de facto lead of this Grand Prix then. Back with the tower on the left hand side. Equals has not got the tyres for the job. He could be easy prey for Cam and Hannington. Let's see then, as we come down the back straight then, as that Racing Bull is gaining, but once again no DRS, and look as we go into the breaking point of turn 4. There is so much water on the racing line there. That is why the intermediate tyres have not been the preferred race tyre. However, Equals has made these tyres work superbly well. Since the get-go, Equals has been on these intermediate tyres for 49 laps. He has been driving out of his skin. This is why Equals is in the fight for the championship of the event league. With Reflex is not here tonight. The pressure is on Equals. He has rolled the dice. He went slightly against the grain. On the inside goes Cam. They're going side by side. Cam there is going to stay on the outside to Magulio, but Equals has got the position. But I do feel that Cam there is just going to have so much more traction out of Young Cow now, and then it's going to be Cam and Hannington. Look at that then, as almost a bit of Formula Drift, but as we go over the brow of the hill, Equals almost lost it. With now he's got Cam and Hannington then all over this gearbox. As Equals said, he is going to defend the inside there, so it's going to be the outside there. And look, Hannington's going to go on the inside, as he is side by side with Cam going into the centre. Hannington up the inside. He has got second position, but Cam is still staying through there. There's contact between second and third position, as Cam and Hannington have made contact through turn 2 and turn 3. Oh, incredible stuff indeed, though. Let me sit back down a minute because we still got a long way to go in this race. We've still got 21 laps of absolute pressure, and I'm wondering if Equaz is trying to get to the end. You know, that would be an absolute statement, wouldn't it? Of course, the rules is not for a mandatory pit stop. The rules is to use 2 types of compounded tires in the dry. In the wet, that rule goes out the window. And of course, Equaz has been on the intermediate tires since the get-go. Cam is getting a bit squirrely on the rear posterior there of the racing bull, and he is really putting pressure now on Equaz. And Equaz, I feel, was a sitting duck down into turn 1 and 2 the center S, but drove superbly well. Equaz using all his experience in Grand Prix racing to keep this car floating on the island, to keep this car in the operating window, to keep this car leading the race, and in turn will be 1 point behind, reflected in the Drivers' Championship. And here comes Cam now, and Cam is through. He takes the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix, passes Equaz, but Equaz is trying to come back at him, and there's Hallington as well, who's going to be in the middle, and Equaz is still taking the lead then, and going down into turn 1 there, and there's side by side, there's contact. Equaz has kept the lead, but Cam is staying on the inside. Equaz is going to squeeze it, but I think the job's done, and now Hallington is through as well, is he? He is through, and Hallington is now taken second position. He is all over the gearbox of Cam. This is opportunity to get past, but Cam there, he's got the high line into turn 4, has he? Oh, more contact there, and he runs him out wide, but Cam leads Hallington in second position, and third position is Equaz. Great racing on this very difficult circuit. Cam is still somehow as a Jenner out of the race and is unfortunately thrown away valuable points there for the Williams team, and that's not ideal at all, as in the background is Legends. That battle has allowed Legends to come right into the thick of things. If Equaz pits now, he will come out in 6th position, in between Kieran and R2B, I think now. So I'm wondering if Equaz might play it safe here. He will not. He will lose an umpteen amount of points there, but of course he will get to the end safely. I'm not sure about punctures with these wet weather tires, but I do feel that Equaz is starting to struggle. As you can see, he is letting his teammate through a lot easier than what he let the leaders through. As Hallington again is coming close to the back there. We're down to 15 drivers in this Grand Prix. All the drivers, as long as they carry on going, as long as they get across the line, they will score points then, and that is an absolute great day indeed then. Liam, driver of the day for me so far. He has been absolutely outstanding, along with Hallington as well. If of course Hallington was a reserve, he would be my driver of the day, just like last night. Fantastic stuff indeed. We've got a couple of really exciting new drivers coming into ALR recently, and that is looking good for the future. After, I must admit, I was a bit concerned by bronze over the last few races, with a couple of drivers dropping out, but nonetheless then I feel bronze is looking very strong then into the future, which is really good stuff indeed there. Also then, as we're back on board of Hallington as well. What a drive from this Mercedes driver. He has been superb, hasn't he? Has the Mercedes driver. In bronze, really tore up the form book, and here tonight, really putting pressure on Cam, who is in the racing bull for tonight. Serious Mushroom is in the points, and so all 15 drivers, as long as they finish this race now, will be, as long as they cross the line, similar to Le Mans, as long as they cross the line, they will get points there. So that is the most important thing for these drivers if they want to score points. And again then, going down into turn 1 then, so on the outside, you can see Cam there looking in his right wing mirror there. He was looking to see where the Mercedes driver had been then, as I just fighting, and now Cam there getting a bit squirrely, and that is going to allow the racing bull driver of the Mercedes driver Hallington to have a sniff. No, he's too far back at the moment into turn 4. Goodness gracious me. Back around here, the two Aston Martins are still nose to tail, as Riley is in 8th position, Vesser in 9th, Liam is just in 10th position. Great drive from Liam, absolutely superb stuff indeed. Back at the front there, of course, I feel if Hallington gets through, I think he's just going to pull away from Cam, and I reckon that's what Cam feels as well, and is defending there like a lion, isn't he, as Fernando Alonso set back in Qatar in 2021 or 2023, one of those years. Mad Max is, oh no, Mad Max has left the session now. Hopefully he can get back in. He's down in 20 what? He's down in 12th position at the moment. And that is going to allow Jay Hings to go through, isn't it? There? So Mad Max needs to get back in his car ASAP if he wants to score some points. Out of Young Cow once again, and again, we're focusing on the top two who have been absolutely sublime. They're kicking lumps out of each other in this race. Absolutely superb. Sorry, I had to cough there. Jitter. Sorry, guys. While in the field was 3 laps and I didn't realise I had no chance of making it to the end, says Jitter. So out of the Grand Prix, unfortunately. Who underfuels the car? Ferrari does. Felipe Massa didn't get any fuel in the car in 2007 in Hungary, which of course David Coulthard found quite funny. Hopefully you can find the press conference for that, because I think that was quite a funny press conference. I think it was the Belgian Grand Prix press conference, the one after Hungary. Quite funny that was. Of course, that was also the infamous qualifying session where Fernando Alonso decided to hold up Lewis Hamilton there, didn't he? Of course, a part of the Spygate and all that kind of jazz going on. Formula 1 was probably not was on the front and back pages for all the wrong reasons once they were in that era of Formula 1, but I must say it was quite a juicy story, wasn't it? And I got to say, it's a very surreal story as well, that Spygate was, wasn't it? Of course, when the employees in a local Photoshop. As Riley on the outside, Kieran on the inside. Then as the Aston Martin and the Kick Sauber are fighting wheel to wheel. As I think that Kieran made a mistake somewhere. He's done 33 laps on those wet tyres. Riley has only done 11 laps, so he's done 1/3 of the distance compared to Kieran here. So Kieran might be a bit of a sitting duck then. Well, I say that, but I must say that there's a lot of ducks out here for the weather tonight. But I gotta say that there's no sitting ducks. Hallington on the outside, he's going to have the inside. He has the inside there, but of course, Cam will have the inside into turn 3. Mad Max, I'm not sure if he's back in the session just yet. Cirrus Mushroom back in the pit lane for getting some fresh boots there. Down into turn 4 once again, but once again, he just can't make it stick, can he? Hallington can't now. It's great. Whoa, is Riley almost has got a swapper on, as is the second Aston Martin of Vessier. It is getting very precarious out there. I think the driver concentration might start to be waning a bit now, along with probably tyre wear as well, and also possibly frustration out there, especially I think for Gary Hannington, who's driven absolutely superbly well. Cam then, of course, remember, he's got happy memories here as well, Cam has. Remember, I think in his debut in ALR Gold, got pole position here, didn't he? Goodness gracious me, all those many moons ago. Oh my word, fantastic memories. Back at the front, Cam and Hallington are still fighting, and goodness me, it's been the Hallington and Cam show, hasn't it, in this one there, as it's a Hallington there getting a bit squirrely. Look at Legends there in the background. He has been there or thereabouts. He hasn't really been involved too much there, but he's still close enough, I feel, to certainly cause concern for these top 2 runners there. Hallington just too far back at the moment. We just seen a racing ball coming to the pits. I think that was Knowlesy into the pits, for getting a fresh bill of rubber then, and on her way, and on he goes there. We're keeping on the gap there. We're just back with this Aston Martin Kick Sauber battle between Kieran, Riley and Vessier, and I'm going to keep harping on about this, but what could have been for the Aston Martin? A horror show mistake from the Aston Martin team there. A lot of questions have to be asked, I think, from the Aston Martin team tonight there. It's cost one driver at least the podium, and I think it's cost both drivers a top 5 finish there. So intermediate tyres in the second stint has absolutely ruined the chances of both the Aston Martin team there, and I think the Vessier and Riley is going to be not too happy in the debriefing room after this one, and I don't blame them whatsoever, because that was a pretty I'd say it's pretty difficult, pretty disappointed decision. Having said that though, I wasn't sure what tyre to beat. I wasn't sure what tyre was the best tyre at the time either. Equals is still out there, and of course, the amount of laps that Equals has not pitted then, he is still will be able to get out in 6th position, but I wonder if Equals feels that a no pit stop race from here on in is the best way to go. So if it is the best way to go then, and here comes Hallington again, then going on the outside then, of course, is Cam there once again, just putting his car in the best possible place there to keep the position, and Hallington there is going to be frustrated, though, isn't he? That Mad Max is not in the car. He will not score those 2 points, though, at the moment. Serious Mushroom, if he can find that minute and 25 gap in the next 13 odd laps or so, he might be able to get in front of the Williams. Otherwise, he will only score 1 point. Of course, you've got to finish in that position to get the points and all that jazz there. I know you all know about the rule book, but I like to harp on about the rule book. As me and Halsey was discussing and nerded out earlier on about stats and stuff, rules is just as important as well. Albeit some say rules are there to be broken, weren't they? So Vessier, then of course got a couple of penalties which we'll check in the next couple of laps or two. Vessier at the moment is really putting pressure on his teammate here. Of course, we've seen earlier on this race that the Aston Martin team, I don't think that they're going to be too concerned about helping each other out, are they? Because they were fighting tooth and nail at this part of the circuit here, and wasn't really keen on letting each other through. With the brow of the hill, Legends has lost a couple of tenths of a second to these guys here, going very wide there. I thought they was going to scoot off the circuit there. I wonder if Hallington was maybe getting mesmerised by these that flashing red light there. Going on the outside again, Cam defending beautifully well. As I think that when you stay behind the car for so long, you start to get a bit mesmerised, don't you? And I think the car in front starts to get a bit comfortable about your braking points, about where you think about overtaking. So I think that Hallington's going to have to try and surprise Cam, which is going to be very difficult to do. You've got to get up very early in the morning to surprise Cam. But I think that's what Hallington's got to do now, because Cam probably almost certainly knows where Hallington's going to go. Of course, you do notice that it's quite a lot. It happens quite a lot in Formula One, especially over the years, where you see a driver steam up behind another driver, then, and you expect the overtake to be quite easy, and actually it's not. And then, of course, as the laps go on, the drivers behind start to figure out where you're strong and where you're not. It happened to Fernando Alonso in Abu Dhabi 2010, quite famously against Petrov, I think was when he was in the Renault. Of course, Alonso caught up to the back of Petrov, but Petrov was not stopping again, was he? And then Alonso couldn't get past. Of course, this was pre-DRS days, and it's very fitting, because tonight there is no DRS there, as it has been very much all about the old school overtakes. Cam's made a mistake there, and I think that Hallington, well, he's too far back, isn't he? I'm surprised that Hallington didn't gain more ground going up that hill then, because Cam was squirreling all over that curb. And again it's going to be safe. He's closer this time than he was last time, and he's going on the outside again, and this time he's side by side, but again Cam there just off the high ground. Is Hallington going to stick his nose in there? He is trying there, and wheel to wheel and rubbing there through the centre S there, and Cam is starting to I feel that Cam at the moment is looking a bit vulnerable out there. And look at Hallington now, and he is all over the gearbox of that racing ball down into turn 4, and at the moment now states it's quoted once again with 12 laps to go of this race, and it's very much been a hard slog for all these drivers. It's probably one of the most difficult races of the season with so much this heavy rain. But Cam there, I felt in those last couple of moments of this race, was the first time in a very long time I felt that Cam was a bit vulnerable to Hallington's attack there, and that's allowed Legends to get close just within a second as well. Whoa, who was that? That was Kieran there getting a swapper on, and Kieran's done about 38 odd laps on those wet tyres, and is probably struggling now, and I'm surprised that Equals is still going. That's incredible. I think the Tyre Tickler of the Day award definitely goes to Equals there, but Kieran's a close second there, as Riley trying to go on the inside there, but Kieran just about keeping that 7th position there. He's 17 seconds adrift of R2 beat there, so I think that Kieran is probably just focused on keeping that position. Back at the front then, Hallington once again is chasing, and once again Cam, I feel, is very vulnerable again. I thought he might have gone to the inside there, but that door may have closed there, so Hallington has gone on the outside. He's trying to go up and under. Cam parks it beautifully, and now look at this, because Cam has been defending so heavily, Legend is now all over the gearbox as well. Low Cam there drifting through turn 3 down into turn 4 once again. This has been an incredible race, hasn't it? Lap after lap, corner after corner, inch after inch. These drivers have just been fighting tooth and nail there. No quarter asked, no quarter given there. This is exactly what sport is all about, is there? Being won on the track, on the pitch, on the circuit. I love it. Really good stuff indeed. Kieran there also going over the brow of the hill as well, and I gotta say, What's happened? Something's gone wrong. I don't know what's gone wrong. There's a yellow flag out there somewhere. But Kieran is just about keeping the Aston Martins at bay. And Kieran has done almost twice the amount of laps compared to the two Aston Martin drivers. So I feel that Kieran could become a major, very vulnerable in this later stage of this race. 11 laps to go in this one. Out of Young Sao once again. Mad Max is still not in the car. So currently Mad Max will not get those points. He needs to get back in pronto. Of course, unless he's taking the mick and then comes in with 1 lap to go, but that'd be outrageous. Get Hallington once again. He's got on the inside. He is on the inside there. And of course, I thought, look at this, he's being squeezed there. Cam is gone wide, and Hallington is going to take the lead. Is he? He has taken the lead on lap 61 out of 71. Now, can Cam get back at him there? He got on the inside there. Cam left just about a Mercedes car's whip there, and now is exactly what Hallington needs, and he takes the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix, Sao Paulo Grand Prix, with 10 laps to go. Now then, if what I thought is correct, which probably isn't, then can Hallington now scamper away then? With no DRS, it makes it easier to defend the course there, even though I must say then, for 71 odd laps, Cam has defended absolutely splendidly well. It has been beyond belief there of Cam keeping his concentration, keeping his self-focus to stay in front of this Mercedes for so long, and Hallington for not giving up for 61 laps there. He was determined to win on his debut in the event league, and he's got the gap to 5/10 of a second there. What has Cam got in the piggy bank now? Has Cam got anything left? Right, he's got a 3-second penalty. I think that someone else had a penalty as well there, and Riley, that may cost him there a position there. Look at that, Hallington's almost a second out now with just 10 laps to go. There he goes, and yes, and I feel that Cam, what unluckiness there from Cam there. What a drive though from both drivers and legends as well. It's been an absolute superb, it's been a textbook in Grand Prix racing out there for 60 laps. Those two drivers was kicking the absolute lumps out of each other. I was going to say something else there. Was kicking absolute lumps out of each other, and has drove absolutely superb. You got to say, if you want to learn about racecraft and anything like that, watch Hallington and Cam for 60 laps, and it was absolute splendid to watch there. Really good stuff indeed, and I must say that's probably that has been one of the best battles of the season, and possibly of all time. Maybe it's certainly in my very short memory, I must say, I'm getting old now, but that battle for lap after lap, so long, that was a race-long battle. This is not the traditional 50% races that we do in ALR. This is the closest we're going to get to endurance. This was 100% race for 60 laps. The two drivers, wheel to wheel, wheel rim to wheel rim, side pod to side pod. It was fantastic to watch, and I must say, I am sweating just watching these drivers there, but that's because I am chubby and unhealthy, but also because it was exciting to watch. I loved that. And hats off to them. I bow down to their greatness. It has been superb. And I bow down to all 15 drivers that are still going in this race, because this is a tough slog. That heavy rain in Sao Paulo for 63 laps is absolutely sensational stuff indeed. That as the two Aston Martins there are still giving Kieran a cause for concern there. Cam is now within 5 seconds, well 4 seconds actually, of Equals. So Equals then, who's going to potentially do a no-stop race. I'm trying to remember when the last time ALR had a no-stop race. I'm sure we've had one sometime before, and of course I'm trying to remember when F1 had a no-stop race. And to be fair, they probably had a no-stop race in Belgium 2021, didn't they? Potentially. Oh goodness me, let's not go back to those bad days, shall we? Goodness gracious me. Oh gosh, and I'm just trying to get some breath back into the old lungs there as well. As my word, well, I've been working very hard tonight, but of course this is a break after tonight then for 2 weeks. So the next action you'll see in ALR Grand Prix, sorry, not me mic again. So the next action you will see in ALR is in gold in 2 weeks' time on November the 2nd, 3rd and 4th, I believe. where we return to the circuit and return to Las Vegas as Hallington is set to fast on the race just to rubber stamp the pace he's got now, and he has dropped Cam by another second, and the gap's up to 2 seconds now. Cam has been drove superbly well, as is Hallington as well. Of course, this is only a second ALR race, believe it or not, and I can't believe I'm saying that. It's incredible driving there, isn't it, by those two? Fantastic. Anyway, going back for the cheap plugs. Yes, ALR next time we'll be on track. We'll actually be in Las Vegas. We'll be in Las Vegas then, which will be very interesting indeed. Then, of course, ALR's only raced there twice before. In season number, what season are we on? Season number 11 and season number 9, I believe it was there. So we've only ever done one race in Las Vegas on each game there. So yeah, this will be our third time in Las Vegas. So that's going to be very interesting indeed, then, isn't it? Of course, and remember, gold at the moment then is very much teetering on the edge then, with Immortal is on the back foot as Sam Swift Ninja is really homing in now, and another win for Sam Swift Ninja. The gap is going to be even closer than what we thought it was on Sunday night there, so anything can happen still. Hungry Stars, I think, won last night as well. I'm judging on the penalties and stuff, but or whatever happens in the stewards room. But Stars won again, and it's now well within as Gary has set another fast. Incredible stuff. But remember that Stars is now well within a Grand Prix win now of Smithy Almighty and Reflections. That's going to be a freeway fight with just 3 races to go. I cannot wait for that one. Mayran then is also. It's got quite a comfortable margin now of, I'd say Mayran is probably the most comfortable of all 3 drivers leading the championship from gold, silver and bronze. But Sweet with a last lap, last corner overtake to win the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, and of course has lowered the gap ever so slightly, but even so, I feel that Mayran does have the slight edge as it stands at the moment in terms of momentum. But Sweet, of course, has really come in and really put the pressure on the McLaren team, which has caused McLaren to make a couple of mistakes there. All 3 championships, I think, is still very much on the line, and I would not bet my bottom dollar on any of those 3 championships, any of those 3 champions with certainty there. So it is going to be a cracking end to the ALR season 13. Cannot wait for that one. And do not forget about the event league as well. Equals there has got the gap now to under Grand Prix win. If he stays in front of Van Von here with just 7 laps to go. If he finishes 4th, he'll get 16 points. If he finishes 5th, he'll get 14 points there. Cam going on the outside here. I think it's Equals. Look at that. I gotta say, Equals. I was talking about Liam not paying for his tyres. I think that Equals is in debt with Pirelli, isn't he? Goodness gracious me. But there's Van Von there pushing Equals up the hill there. Goodness gracious me. As Equals going on the outside there, that's getting precariously close there. Equals then, of course, not backing out. Even if he is a championship contender, he is not yielding for anything in this one. But Van Von dives down the inside. Of course, that has so much more purchase on those tyres there, and the job is done. I think that Equals might be nervous about 5th position as well, and knows 14 points that comes with it. He might go down by lose another 2 because R2B, there he is. R2B had a drive-through penalty earlier on this race as well, so I think that R2B might potentially be able to steal that 6th position away as well. As now Riley then putting pressure on Kieran. Riley does have penalties out there at the moment. There are the penalty situation. Look at the lack of penalties in these horrendous weather conditions out there. 6 seconds for Van Von. Oh, so that's going to change it ever so slightly. Can Equals keep Van Von within 6 seconds? It's going to be difficult because those intermediate tyres have been on since the start of the race. A no-stop pits, a no-stop for Equals at the moment. He's already lost a second already. 3 seconds for Riley, 6 seconds for Besser as well. Currently as it stands, both Aston Martin drivers will not lose any positions there. If they get past Kieran, though, they have to really put their toe down. Kieran is on very old, worn, wet tyres there, but Kieran is no slouch there. I think he's going to aim to keep those tyres certainly within. Aim to keep these Aston Martins certainly within 3 and 6 seconds if they do get past him. Liam, what a drive from Liam there, and this is best sort of his event league so far. He's up to 10th finish. He's got 9 seconds of penalties, but he's in no bother from Knowlesy behind there because Liam has drove a superb race. Simple one stop from Liam there. He unlike Ferrari in real life, Liam knew exactly what he wanted to do and absolutely nailed it to perfection. Now Liam in 10th position, 9 seconds of penalties, but should shouldn't lose his position at the moment now. Then we have got Knowles in 11th position. No penalties for Knowles. Stars has got 3-second penalty. Should not affect his position for 12th position. Hings is now 20 seconds back in 13th position. Mad Max is out of the race, I believe, isn't he? And I think he still is. He still is out of this race there for Mad Max, unfortunately. Down in 14th position, so will not get the points. And Cirrus Mushroom completes the running order. 15th position there for Cirrus Mushroom there. If he can get past Mad Max, he won't get promoted. He will keep that 15th position. As Gary has set another fast up the race there. Incredible driving there from Hannington. I gotta say then, I think that hopefully he doesn't watch the stream, but to be honest, because I've absolutely butchered his name then. I don't know how I do it. I'm just really bad at names, and I shocking stuff indeed. Then perhaps I should perhaps I need to take relearn the English language. I had to resit my English GCSEs back in college. And unfortunately, I sat next to my friend Mike. Ironically, if anyone knows me and knows ALR a bit, I have a friend called Dave. But I sat next to his brother in... everyone has a friend called Dave, don't they? Even Crofty has a friend called Dave. But I sat next to his brother in English, and he decided to draw male genitalia all over my English work. So there you go. That was my... I'm very immature, I know. So is he as well, actually. It's a Riley going up the inside, and a great manoeuvre there from Riley. He caught me unaware, and through he goes and into 7th position. Passes Kieran. Great job indeed there. Kieran needs to... Kieran, of course, he is still in front in terms of the time, of course, because Kieran has no penalties. What a job. What an overtake from Riley there. I think it's at the overtake of the race. It's between that and Hannington. Both drivers, I think, have been stars of the show. But I think, unfortunately for Riley, he has really been let down badly by the Aston Martin crew out there. Lap 69. Nice. I've been waiting for that all race. Yeah, so lap 69 this race, R2 beat is aiming to get past Equaz as well. I'm wondering if Equaz should have pitted, then, because he would have finished 6th anyway. I suppose, of course, fortune favours the brave, doesn't it? And maybe he was thinking about keeping Van Von in bay, and he still can keep Van Von at arm's length, because Van Von does have a 6-second penalty, I believe, which means that he is still be in 5th position, Equaz was, but he's got to make sure he doesn't fall off the cliff with those tyres. And it's going to be a very touchy end there for Equaz. Remember, it's very important in the championship because Equaz is now within a win there, but Reflection still leads this race. He's not racing here tonight, but importantly for Reflections, he still leads this race. I think that the worst case scenario for Reflections they would have been if Equaz won the race with fast lap, because then it would have been E all square going into Las Vegas, and the final 2 rounds there of the event league then, of course, with only 60 points up for grabs at the end of this one, which I think is going to be a 2-horse race now, isn't it, if I'm not very much mistaken in terms of the driver standards. I think it is. Legend, I think the Legend's out of it as well, sadly. So yeah, it's a 2-horse race between Equals and Reflections, and I gotta say, may the best man win. Which they will do indeed, but I must say, but who's going to win it? I have no idea. I can't say this season for ALR. We've got a lot of very good, intriguing championship permutations from all championships. I'm loving it. Fantastic indeed then. I've got to say that the only thing I'm not loving is I'm going to have to get my old calculator out. And of course, very infamously, I did miss Glock winning the championship in silver, and I also missed Emerson winning the championship in season 4 or 5. Jay Hings getting a penalty there. I don't think that's not going to affect his position there as long as he keeps Mad Max behind. Yes, Mad Max is not in the race, I believe. If his AI overtakes him, then he will only score 2 points instead of 3, of course. Of course, the top 15 score points in the event league, and my goodness me, it's been an absolute doozy, hasn't it? As we come into the final stage of this absolute fantastic Grand Prix, and I've got to say I'm very proud because I've done it even without having a bit of Coke or anything like that. By the way, that's when I say that, I do mean Coca-Cola, you dirty scoundrels there. Oof, gosh. I'm hoping that Knowles is going to buy me a Kit Kat for Christmas now, because I think I do need a break then. I absolutely have a break. Have a Kit Kat. Well, I'll be certainly breaking out a Kit Kat then after this one then. Of course, as I said then, ALR will be on a 2-week on a 2 week holiday now, as Knowles is actually going to be in Sao Paulo because I think he's watching the Brazilian Grand Prix in a couple of weeks' time, which is really cool stuff indeed. Which means I think the FARF is de facto in charge for ALR. Goodness gracious me, God help us! So that's going to be fun as well, isn't it? But yes, indeed. So hopefully Knowles enjoys this holiday, and hopefully he doesn't have to worry about us too much. But I got to say that I cannot comfort Knowles too much because I'm probably going to be part of the problem as well. But yes, indeed. So Knowles is going to be away for 2 weeks, for a couple of weeks, then on holiday, on his holiday bobs. And ALR, of course, will also be. And ALR, of course, will also be having 2 weeks off, mainly because of the United States Grand Prix, which clashes on Sunday, and of course Mexico, which doesn't normally clash, but it can be quite close if there's any action in Mexico as well. So that's why we're gotten 2 weeks off then, so we don't clash with the real F1. Otherwise, and all that kind of jazz. Then Hannington going for another fastest lap here. He's fastest in the second sector, but out of the final corner now. Then we've got yellow flags then in the second sector somewhere. But Hannington, what a drive! What a drive in only a second race. This is his debut tonight in the event league, and Hannington wins the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, and that is a sensational Grand Prix for Hannington in his second Grand Prix for ALR Formula 1 racing. He has absolutely turned up in bronze air. Potentially could have and should have won the race last night, but here tonight he was hunting Cam down for 60 odd laps there with one of the most incredible battles that we have seen in ALR history, I think, tonight, with one of the such a race long battle between the two. How those two drivers was fighting for 60 odd laps remains to be seen for me. They were superhuman tonight, was Cam and Hannington there. Both of those drivers would be driver of the day for me. They've been superb out there, really have indeed. Then and they absolutely tore the roof off tonight then, if there is a roof in the Sao Paulo. But my word then, I think that that was one of the best racing. If you ever want to study Grand Prix racing, look no further than this race between Cam and Hannington. What a performance, what a drive, and it was an absolute pleasure here to watch this one. And I'm sorry, Luke, I got one of the better races there. I got one of the best races this season, so Luke is going to be it's probably going to be a bit disappointed with that, but of course I hope that the family emergency for Luke is all good then, as Hannington punches the air in delight with his first win in ALR. I think the first of many. It's certainly his first win in the event league. Wow, really incredible stuff indeed. Let's take a final look at the classification then from this incredible race. Hannington gets 31 points there, the maximum shebang. Most overtakes was Van Voorn, and he got driver of the day as well, according to this, and Legends with cleanest driver as well. Hannington, the full shebang from fourth on the grid with an absolute clinic in racing between himself and Cam. Wheel to wheel, right from the get-go. Cam in second, Legends in third position, great drive from seventh to third there. RT beat in fourth position, what could have been without that drive from penalty, could have been factoring in for the podium there. Van Voorn in fifth position, and great drive with Equals in sixth position. Might be happy with that there, and is within a win of Reflections now then. But of course, it did lose a couple positions there. Kieran in seventh position, Riley in eighth there. Aston Martin will not be happy with the intermediate call from the Aston Martin team, and I think Riley and Vesser will be having a urgent word with Andy Cowell. Liam, I think, is my personal driver today. A great drive in 10th position. Knowles in 11th, 12th for Stars. Jay Hings in 13th. Mad Max AFK'd. Serious Mushroom that gets the final point. Retirements is Jinner, Tori, Marsky and Cody out of this incredible Brazilian Grand Prix. Absolutely fantastic stuff indeed then. Really well enjoyed that one. That was absolutely cracking. Serious Mushroom, that was my fault. To be honest, it was because I think without me, Mushroom, you don't have the racing brain of me. Then, what a race! Congratulations, podium note itself. Don't lock up when this VSC is ending, which cost RTP potentially a podium there as well. No interviews tonight, mainly because I am antisocial, and also as well as I am starving. I know I've had a chicken Caesar wrap, but I'm a big growing boy and I need some more. So a quick rundown of what's going on next week and the week after, we are on a break. Then we'll be back on November the 2nd as we reconvene the World Championships from gold, silver, and bronze. Then Immortal is under the cosh from Sam Swift Ninja. Sam Swift Ninja is really homing in on him now as well after getting that win on Sunday as well, after the penalty which cost Brabant the Grand Prix win. Then in the silver, Mayran and Sweet then are currently going head to head. Then Sweet got the win on the very final corner of the Brazilian Grand Prix then in what is absolutely sensational Grand Prix win. And then of course there's a three-way fight in bronze at this moment in time between Smithy Almighty, between Hungry Stars, and between Reflection as well. And don't forget the event lead then. It's a two-horse showdown now between Equals and between Reflections there. I cannot wait then. 2 weeks, and then we resume then. And it's full throttle to the end of the season. Goodbye, everyone, and thank you for joining us.